People, it's your boy Vin in the house.
Sori here as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Bob, we've got another DJ stream for you, you beautiful people. A DJ stream is a stream in which you get 4 songs,
Or a minimum of 4.
Minimum 4. There's no maximum.
Well, if you want it all done in one night. we actually have somebody right now who is like creating a giant. Massive list.
We've got
that he's gonna have an entire week of DJ.
I think we've got a 64 person song stream coming up pretty soon here. 64 songs, dear listener. So strap in, you dear listener.
Wild and crazy.
Yeah. So that's gonna be a good time. But this is DJ Mike. Actually, yep. DJ Mike was one of the first DJs.
Yeah, it's true.
I think he was the first once we announced the DJ stream thingamajiggy. I think he was the first one to try it out.
Yep.
I was like, yo, babe, check this shit out.
Pictures in the...
Oh, in the thingamajig.
Yeah.
Is that the turtle?
No, it's not the turtle. It's about metal music.
Send it again.
Sign. It's in downloads.
Dan Sargent into his house.
Right there.
Do, 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 do.
So how is everybody tonight?
Randy in the house.
We shot a Middle America video today that was pretty ridiculous.
Pretty disconcerting.
You should check it out.
Pretty
Make
strange.
yourself in the know before everything gets shut down and you know nothing. You might want to know why it's getting shut down.
Oh gosh. Yes. Yes, it will be a welcome break, dear listener.
Also, for those of you who haven't seen it, we reacted to the Jordan B. Peterson song, Wake Up. So you can check that out also. That's on this channel here.
It was funny. Somebody was like, hey, that course had a clear Pink Floyd influence. And then there was one comment and I went to comment underneath it, and then the guy's like, you got it. That was fun. Blair in the house. Michelle in the house. Gang.
Blair? That sucks.
That really sucks.
I don't know how old you are, but I'm telling you, the older you are.
You keep saying that. What's the difference? I mean, if you fall, you fall.
No, because when you're a kid and you fall, you get over it. But then, like, when you're older, the pain lasts longer. Or maybe I'm talking from somebody who had, couple of kids close together. Maybe everything's still not leveled out for me. I don't know. I have no idea. It's an assumption, maybe.
Well, the other thing is I haven't seen you do a lot of falling on any ice anyway.
Well, you think I would come announce that to you? Hey, by the way.
So you've been falling.
I look like a goon outside.
You've been falling.
Oh boy.
Oh, dear listener.
No. You don't have to fall. All you have to do is slip all over the place. That's what I did. I looked like a friggin' cartoon. My arms and legs were flapping all over the place.
And then you were sore after? Just for that? Because we're talking about soreness and your age and all that. So you fell or you didn't fall?
Other things that shouldn't have made me sore did.
All right. I have no idea what you're talking about, but...
You don't. Because I didn't announce it.
We'll go with it. Yeah, guys. Also, my mic troubles have been legion. So I feel like
Please
I've got to
let us know if it's.
I feel like I've got to fix. One of the problems was that it kept cutting in and out. Somebody was like, "Yo, your mic's cutting in and out," and Amy was like, "Yeah, it does that all the time." And that's what I was like. I was like, "Damn her!" And then we were editing the Jordan Peterson video, and I said, "Damn her again! She's right." And that, dear listeners, when I decided
he was gonna do something.
This $300 microphone or whatever it is needed some duct tape. Ridiculous.
Yep, that's true. That's so terrible.
Apple needs to come out with their own, mic or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure once I say that, Amy's gonna be like, "Well, they have actually," and we didn't know about it. We went and spent all this money on this Blue Yeti stuff. Yours works perfectly though.
Well, I've had mine taped for quite some time.
Yeah, I did more of a taping job on mine. I reoriented the thing over here, so all this is on this side now.
Yeah.
So, I'm doing my best. So if the audio stops cutting in and out, then we're in good shape, inshallah.
Oh boy.
Vin, I was wondering if you and Sori would mind the three of us coming to see you two. That would be legit.
Who's that?
That's Michelle. So that would be Michelle, Devin. That's what Dorian used to call Zoe. The baby.
Where do you live?
Actually, no, he used to call Johan.
Okay, wait. So you have to turn my mic up, because this just turns up my headphones.
Once again, please.
They said my mic is low.
Yeah.
So you have to turn it up over there.
You're at 42, aren't you? Yeah, you're at 44.
Yeah. Okay. What? I don't mean to any of us. If it's too low, it's too low.
Yeah, that doesn't just affect your headphones.
Headphone volume. Look at the way you're looking at me. Situations are funny because you really believe you're right, and I'm right.
You see that right there?
That's the game.
Turn it up a little bit, and then do a testing 1 2 1 2.
Which way's up? This?
Yeah. So then blow into it, and then check your receiver there.
Testing. 1 2 3. Testing.
What keeps cutting out?
Oh God. Well, my thing was it was really taped.
Was Sori's mic cutting out or was mine?
And then mine got affected.
That can't be my mic. Was it Sori's mic that was cutting out or was my mic cutting out? Hey, do me a favor and get us on your side.
What does that mean, get us on your side?
On YouTube.
Oh.
Both of our mics were cutting. Oh, then it would be, if both our mics are cutting, that's actually a good sign.
Oh, really?
It's this thing right here. Both of our mics were cutting. I'm really going to have to go to... both our mics are cutting. That's actually a good sign. I'm going to see if I can get another solution.
Yeah, it doesn't even sound... Come on. Yeah, I'm still really low.
Hey, say testing 1 2 again.
Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Oh, that was a little better.
Say testing 1 2 again.
Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2.
You're louder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What did you do? You turned up the headphone thing?
No, I turned
exactly.
I turned up your gain.
Wow, that sounds interesting. Okay, what did you do?
Can
you turned up the headphone?
Can you open that door?
Exactly.
I turned up your gain.
Wow, that sounds interesting.
What's occurring? They got World War 58 out there. I'll never understand this stuff. I'll never understand it. What's occurring? Okay, guys. So we got DJ Mike. Heavy metal makes everything better. I'll never understand it. Soraya is on her way after she gets done taking care of whatever jihad that is over there. And then we're going to get right into our DJ stream, dear listener. After she gets done taking care of whatever jihad that is over there. And then we're going to get right into our... There is a bit of an echo, but that's because of that thing. There you go.
You thought that was the 5-year-old, didn't you?
It was Johan?
Of course.
Doreen and Johan were fighting?
Something. I said, I can't hear it right now. We're going to have to talk about it later. Pull it together, please.
Hold on, let me see. I think, let me go to CNN. Is that
okay.
going on? Putin orders troops into eastern Ukraine. What's going on, man?
You guys, how's my
my
mic sounding? Is it sounding okay? Immediately.
It hasn't completely happened yet, Vibes. He green lighted it, but it hasn't happened yet. So let's keep hope alive, inshallah. Doesn't look good though. Okay, So you're
Yeah, I was
sounding-
gonna say, Mike, I was pretty sure, but then I was like, maybe I'm wrong, so I'm not gonna say that.
What?
Amy was like, "What? It's Franco's night. That means black metal. Where's Nick?" But he said there's no black metal tonight. So
Nick brought the heat, man, with that 70s shit.
that was really fun.
That was really, really, really good. Really good.
Okay, thanks, Perk.
You both sound awesome. One last thing I'll say is if I start clipping, because my voice carries a little bit, surprise, surprise, let me know because I am tracking this thing like to the number. So really want to make sure that the quality is top notch for you guys. So I do listen to the feedback. I'm not going to give it to you in the moment, but I do listen to you to your feedback. Okay. Here we go, guys. Song number 1. We got
Send
DJ
me an email,
Mike.
Michelle.
We got DJ Mike in the house. Song number 1 is on the way. You guys know the drill. Commercial break, and then we go. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull
You
that off.
can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee, a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord,
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
and they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VIN AND SORI. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed, a child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Speaking of buy our merch, don't buy our merch. If you saw the little baby at the during the commercial, that belongs to a friend of ours. You guys know how we
Friend
are
of the
with
village, in fact.
You know how we are with life and babies and things of that nature, but we also believe in putting your money where your mouth is. So, please consider going to that baby registry, which Sarai, do you have that in the description now?
I can add it in.
Which is in the description, and that Soraya will post periodically. Consider giving to that baby registry. We have already given Shorty, we've already taken off 7 items on that registry. So congratulations and thank you to our community. We're almost 1/5 of the way there. She didn't ask for our help, by the way, but I know her, and she's not the type of person to ask for help. But
And we know how it can be expensive having babies.
They do need the help.
Yeah, everybody can.
If you make purchases totaling up to $75 or above, send us a screenshot of that, and we will do a free song for you. Maybe we'll do a baby shower thing, do them all. I don't know. We'll figure something out.
No, a lot of the people want them to go
A lot
into
of
their
people
own
want it on
streams.
top of their own
Yeah.
DJ streams. Okay, we'll do that too. So there you go. Lots of ways to give, lots of ways to do that, and our community's always been that. But the time has arrived.
Link is on its way. Let's start this song.
1, shout out to Vlad for showing up. That's my buddy. 2, song number 1 from the big homie, DJ Mike Franco.
Mike.
It's a band by the name of Sylosis, and the name of the song is After Lifeless. No, that's not right. What's the first song again?
I'm trying to get that link up in there, babe.
After Lifeless Years, I believe, is the name of the song. So here we
After
go,
Lifeless
guys.
Years,
After
correct.
Lifeless Years, Yahweh rules. I agree. Let's do it. strong start.
Wow.
I'm a big believer in a strong start.
This one was a strong start.
Strong start for your first record. Strong start for the set when you're playing live. Strong start for the DJ stream. Take notes, dear.
Bang, bang, bang.
I'm looking at
What?
Amy. Daniel's like, I'm so excited for this stream. Amy's like, I'm so happy for you, Daniel. Angry face. It's your miserable self.
Yeah, but this one had like the darkness to it, but then it also had those nice clean vocals in there. And musically it kind of kept soaring with it. I thought it was very well done. I really enjoyed it. Now,
it has
that's
some
typically how Sylosis does stuff.
I don't know. We haven't listened to a lot of Sylosis. Have you? I don't recall us listening to a bunch of Kill Switch Engage.
Kill Switch Engage. Where'd that come from?
Sylosis. Well, there was some Kill Switch Engage energy here with the strong, like, classical Iron Maiden type lead in the chorus, and then you do the clean vocals over that. That seems to be like a signature Kill Switch Engage. But they did a really, really good job at it because they also had traditional thrash metal riffage. So, yeah, I really, really, really good formula. Okay, Michelle, I'm sure Soraya will look at that for sure. And thank you guys for sharing information, by the way. That's pretty that's pretty deep that you guys would do that. And then here's Amy. 2 seconds of clean vocals. Like having bad sex for an hour for a lousy 2 seconds of happiness. Oh, gosh.
That's so bad.
So people's train only goes to one station. Gotham is yours.
Yeah, but shut that shit down if it's not working. That's so funny. I just can't imagine an hour of... Okay, anyway, let's move it right along.
Moving right along, dear listener.
Let's bring this train to another station.
This is, of
Let's
course...
go to the lyrics.
This is, of course, a Christian broadcast. So there's also that. Holy shit. We're going to hell.
The truth became so clear to you, and so your faith has died.
Uh-oh.
Now see what waits for you on the other side.
Ruh-roh.
A morbid sea of deepest black, a distant, ever-burning flame. With nowhere else to turn, you wander alone, forever alone. Forsaken by the God you loved, and now your love has died. No miracle will shine its lights on you. So easily directed, your thoughts remain your only guide. Hey boy. Now you will see no truth beneath this cloak of lies. A distant, ever-piercing cry so far away, blinded by aspirations of a higher state, wasting your life just searching for a periphery?
Periphery.
What is that? The only thing I know is like that side vision.
Yeah, I think it's talking about something outside of yourself to give yourself meaning, I think is what he's going with there.
Hold on to the thought that it was just, and pray for life to continue. We'll fall beyond safety's grasp to reemerge lifeless, trying to break from the clutches of our death. A morbid sea of deepest black. A distant, ever-burning flame. A distant, ever-piercing cry. So far away cry. Oh my God, that is not a happy place to be in.
Well, we were just talking.
That's so interesting.
It looks like this is a process of somebody losing their faith, as it were.
Yeah.
Which I was listening to this, commenting on this a couple days ago, where in the last, it's funny because I actually read his article and he's like, in the last 5 years, there's been a lot of Christians coming out and deconstructing, meaning publicly saying they're losing the foundations of their faith. And it was so fascinating to me because I hadn't read the full article, but one of the points I made in the video, which I don't really think the video fits any of either Middle America or this format, so I probably won't post it on this format, but...
We could put it up on Patreon, though.
I doubt it. But one of the things that's really fascinating to me about what I said was they're not taking accountability for the fact that the way that evangelicals handled themselves during the Trump administration was completely destructive to a lot of millennials, Gen Xers, and even Gen Zers. Because they made the people who are deconstructing and leaving the faith, in my opinion, are making the same mistake as the people who are bastardizing our faith, namely that their version of American evangelicalism and Trumpism, as Apostle Joshua calls it, is Christianity. And so they just slowly began to say, I can't be a part of this. I can't kicking over water bottles over at the border.
No.
Putting kids in cages.
Yeah.
Mocking everybody who's not exactly, that doesn't look exactly like me. Like, they just slowly began to say, I can't be a part of this, and this doesn't mean anything. And then it opened them up to, well, maybe Richard Dawkins is right. Maybe, and those, that brand of evangelicalism is not very strong on science either.
No.
I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
I don't remember. Keep going.
So it was fascinating because, so I made that statement, and then I read the article after I made the statement, which usually when you do that, you're like, but it was like, holy shit, because he said in the last 5 years, and it's like, that's exactly the Trump timeline, right? From when he went down the escalator to now. And, from the first moment when he went down the escalator till his very last moment, it was just faith destroying for people who had not bought into the... And again, anybody who's seen me in Middle America, everybody's been angry at me when I talk about Trump, because I say that Biden is much worse for black people than Trump. I've said a million times, I don't care what he does on his Twitter. I don't care personally. But when you have a bunch of women and the president is calling another woman horseface and calling her a whore and all this, it's like, oh, so when you wanted to procure her services, she was worth X amount of money, but now that you're being held accountable, now of course the typical she's a whore, okay, and then your parents and your older brother and sister, all the people you're looking up to, are supporting this guy and even celebrating it.
And it's not like that's the thing. If they were saying, hey, I like Trump for this or that thing, but this is wrong, you know what I mean? Like, being clear about what you do not agree with, because, I mean, people are human beings. You're going to have stuff that's like, that's a problem. Just be honest about it. But they were, just like you had, the Trump derangement syndrome, where people were just like, about anything that you said, anything about Trump. Like, people thought that you were like a massive Trump supporter. Not true. While on the other side, it was like these people were worshiping him. It was very weird. And like, we watched that. Remember that documentary thing where it was like people were prophesying about Trump coming in?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was pretty weird.
I forgot about that. Was the other thing, which he didn't touch on either, was that you had
whole
Christian evangelicals
prayer chains, all
prophesying
kinds of
about Trump, saying that Trump, playing on the word Trump, that Trump was going to be God's trumpet and all this and that. And there was this weird, and I've said it where if you want to talk about whoredom, real whoredom, when you get to the end of Revelation, is not a woman, enjoying sex. Real whoredom is when the religious institution joins with the state in an exchange for power. Where you compromise your integrity for power. That's the whore. That's the last mention of whore that we see in the Bible. Is that not your sexual prowess? It's that, and the abominations and the whoredoms and all that, which tells me that physical whoredom in a biblical sense is actually just metaphorical of the real whoredom that God is worried about, which is spiritual whoredom, which is very dangerous to say in Christianity, but I don't care. Because I can make lots of cases where God seems to be partial. To the women that evangelicals condemn, but he's absolutely ruthless when it comes to idolatry, which is ultimate whoredom. So, the physical aspect is a metaphor for the spiritual aspect, which is what God is really upset about. But of course, we flipped it around. But all of these things that happen leave people open to saying, I need an alternate worldview, man. Because the irony, I was interfacing with with our community while Trump was going on. You know, I kind of had a dispassionate view of Trump as far as like, oh God, you know, because the church has always elected people that have been against my interests, and they've always not cared about, so I'm used to it.
Yeah.
But I think this was the first time, I remember the first time somebody was saying like, yeah, fuck those kids in those cages. And you see it on Facebook and you're like, holy shit. The guy that wrote the article never addressed that.
Awful.
He never addressed that. And I'm like, of course, if you look at this, like it's gonna bring people to say, wait a second, maybe there's something really wrong with this Christianity stuff, because this can't work. Mm-hmm. It doesn't look like Jesus, and it doesn't look and look, you know, what's his name? Vlad talked about this, where there was a lot of question marks and things of that nature. I also think there's a lot of question marks to disbelief as well, which we've talked about. There's a hard problem of consciousness, a hard problem of life. There's a lot of things that are, in my mind, completely inexplicable without a divine being. You've got cells that have microscopic, literal assembly lines and systems that work oppositionally. All the rest, like,
it doesn't matter how deep you go. There's more design and more design and more design.
Right. You know, I was just listening to Lex Friedman, and he was talking about skepticism. I was actually talking to my atheist buddies too about skepticism. He was talking about how he said at some level you have to assume something. I said, oh, you're starting to sound like a presuppositionalist. Like, for example, if somebody says I'm a rationalist, right? You're assuming that your mind works. You're assuming that your mind can apprehend reality. You're assuming that your mind can connect syllogisms to come to a rational conclusion. You have to assume that first in order to even do logic in the first place.
Yeah, that's true.
You have to assume that the laws of logic exist, which cannot be tasted, smelt, or measured in a laboratory. So, like, here's my point. My conclusion, as I've really started to listen to scientists, because as I've been saying, I've been listening to pretty much nothing but science, although the recent conflict in the Catholic Church about Mr. Bergoglio is going to be my next thing. But I've just come to the conclusion that our belief or non-belief is more volitional than cognition. More volition than cognition, which I've said it before, but I truly, truly believe that the more and more I look into it. If you look at this whole COVID situation, that's another situation where people... I mean, obviously the song's about losing faith in God, but people are losing faith in the institutions as well, governmental institutions, that you should just be able to mail it in mentally and say, oh, that's what they say. Okay.
Yep.
Like, everything is getting questioned now. And a lot of people love, like, the question everything. And now they're realizing that if you truly have to question everything, it's a very destabilizing world to live in.
Exactly.
A really destabilizing world to live in. What were you going to say?
I mean, I wasn't sure if I was going to say what I was going to say. I mean, it started with, you know, for me, I don't know, probably everybody else, but I'm always late to the party because of how we were raised. But when I started realizing that the institutions, be it religious or academic or whatever, that there was like a lot of sexual assault that was happening to the people, the kids in there.
That's another one.
That started it for me. And then when it moved on to, then it was like, then you're hearing all this political stuff. And then there's like the higher ups. Was it Fox? That guy, you know what I mean? Like all these different people that are supposed to be like leadership, and you start realizing that, like, wait a minute, people aren't really safe. And then people are lying, and people will justify, and then they'll demonize you after they've been the one to do something to you. It's just craziness. And then you've got, you know, then with all the information that just kind of came out today about the CDC not giving out the correct information to us, like holding back whole bunches of information, it starts making you question literally every friggin' thing. But then, you know, that, I guess that's like Jesus talked about building a foundation that's firm, and that foundation is him. And so I guess, you know, I was reading some Sailhammer today. Really, really great book. What's his first name?
John
say what?
What a complex name.
I don't even literally know what the name of the book is because we've always called it Sailhammer.
The meaning of the Pentateuch.
That's what it is, yeah. But I was just like a chunk of the way into the introduction, and it was really cool just because he's basing it in something, and he's saying, like, stop looking at it like, because we were always taught to look at it like, okay, that was information for them back there, and it'll give us some here. But he's saying, look at it for what it was in the intended purpose, and you're trying to get as much fact in there as you can, not just from scripture alone, but anything else that would also speak into it that would give you like a really solid picture. And I really like that, because I'm like, that's what we want. We need something solid. We need something that's true, and something that can be backed up, and something that can be verified. And there's a lot that goes into that. I'm not, trying to preach at everybody. I'm just saying it is destabilizing to realize that everywhere you're getting all this misinformation and false information, you're being lied to and stuff. But this person in the song was saying the truth became so clear to you, and so your faith died. And then it goes on to say, forsaken by the God that you loved. I don't know, like, sometimes I think that people go through a time where they feel forsaken by the God that they love, but it's actually because he's trying to kind of reset them to, like, sometimes we can imagine God is a certain way, or we can assume or think that he is, or we can come to some conclusion based off things that people said to us, or that we've kind of gotten in. And sometimes when God stops letting us live in that delusion, so to speak, and we have to face other things, like, it can feel like, well, where the heck is he? So I don't know what exactly was going on with this person, but it definitely sounds like he was in a pretty difficult place, and it wasn't figured out by the end of the song either. A distant, ever-piercing cry, so far away, cry.
That's one of the things that bugged me also about what this guy was saying. It's the dude from Skillet. He's like, if you're so happy with your deconversion, I'm like, man, I'm neck deep in atheists. Most of them are ex-Christians or whatever. I've never seen one of these guys go, yeah, the moment I lost my faith, it was a hard, difficult. I don't know why we have to stereotype people and not actually listen to what the hell they're saying. Mm-hmm. They're all saying it was difficult, it was painful, and I found a way to navigate around it or whatever. None of them are like spiking the football and saying, obviously we've been informed with very ignorant, internet atheists who don't know the first thing about anything. Mm-hmm. But in my opinion, those people are putting on a show. But the real, like, thoughtful ones that know what the hell they're talking about, that can actually interact with you, mm-hmm. and you go, okay, this guy actually took they had a really hard time.
Yeah.
A really hard time.
Yeah.
So, like...
And they have to know that not only are they making, like, when you make a step to actually, okay, so probably they were thinking about this for a very long time, and then they finally got to a point where they're like, okay, I can't keep faking this. Like it feels fake to me to keep walking this direction when I don't feel I'm this direction. And so then they come out, from my point of view, it's showing that they're not a coward. They're coming out to say how they actually feel. And they know damn well there's going to be a fallout. There is going to be a fight. There is going to be, 100%. They're going to get crucified by the people, it's just, but that's how it goes. But that journey, and it changes you, but I don't know.
Yeah, and that's like, I don't know if he had to come out and talk about people who left the faith that way so that he could, because I think a lot of times when people start doubting their faith, it makes people who are already insecure themselves overreact. You see that a lot in parents when their kid starts deconstructing and losing their faith. They start overreacting mm-hmm. because they themselves aren't confident. When our kids were doing it, I was like, yeah, okay, well, okay. I mean, if you ever want to talk, come to me. And I was completely, I was completely confident that God was going to bring, because I actually believe this shit. Mm-hmm. But I also know there are a lot of extenuating factors that would make anybody say, man, forget this God stuff.
Yeah. In
their life. And so, but I had no insecurity whatsoever. It was no comment on my faith that they were quote leaving the faith. And I believe there's a groundswell, and I know there's a groundswell because I get the emails from you. There's a groundswell of people that are like, well, I'm rethinking my deconstruction, right? But like,
exactly.
But we're only taking a snapshot in a person's life.
I'll be honest with you. I'm actually always glad. I was glad when the kids kind of went through that. Well, mainly because you kind of changed my mind on that. But once I came into the idea, I was glad that they did, because I thought, eventually at some point people hit that in their life where they kind of question it. And then, like you said, they usually circle back around. But I thought it was good for the kids to be able to have that experience while they don't have the stressors of adulthood. Like, they don't have to worry about their kids and the well-being of their kids. They're not working a job. They're not, they have their own stressors. I mean, they have plenty of them. But they still have less now than they will when they're adults. And so I thought it was better that they kind of have that, now where they can question it and be like, I don't know if I believe it, and do all of that now.
Well, also in a safe environment where they're not going to
exactly.
get a 16-hour lecture on
Yep.
why they shouldn't say things like that, and why, why they're going to burn in hell forever and all the other stuff that happens. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm not judging parents who do that in the sense of those are bad people. It just seems to me that that reaction is a stoking of their own insecurity about their own faith.
It might, it might be that they don't know how to answer those questions.
When people leave the faith, it makes them question themselves. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, it's a metal wise, it was a good song. Oh yeah, I very much enjoyed it. It was a good song, deep lyrics, and at the end of the day, ultimately people want to be happy. And you want that motion and you want that stillness simultaneously. Yep. So we want to be happy because something is happening, and we want peace, that stillness. And that simultaneous motion and stillness is what happiness is. And, I find that in Christ, because the scripture says he's the fountainhead of all of our joy. So I would commend that to you. But the journey there is extremely rocky and difficult. Yeah, for sure. And it's one hell of a ride, though, I'll tell you what. Or one heaven of a ride. Ha! Corny! Very. Corny question humor! Oh, boy. All right, what do you get a song? 8.9. It was a strong opening. I'm going to give this a 9.148. 9.148, dear listener. I'm going to move mine to a 9. Having said that, dear listener, we're coming right back with another jam for you beautiful people. VIN out. Sorry out. Gone. Keep giving us the feedback, dear listener, about our sound quality. Sound quality. Any Christian that I've told, have always given me the condescending, you've come back to Christ in time. I've never had that conversation with you. Never told you you'll come back to Christ in time. We thought it. I think it depends on how you say it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then the question, Daniel, would be, why would that upset you? What upsets you about that kind of statement? Because there's a couple ways to look at that statement, right? One is a theological reason, which is, in some Christian traditions, you have this doctrine called the perseverance of the saints, right? So in 1 John, it says, they went out from us because they did not belong to us, for if they had belonged to us, they would have remained with us, but their leaving displayed that they were never truly of us. And so the conclusion that gets come to theologically is, anyone who is truly saved, even if they have a moment of straying, will return back. Yeah. Right? Yep. So if they're saying that because theologically that's what they believe, I'm not certain you could penalize them for that, but I suppose that could still be frustrating. But sometimes you just have to understand why people are saying what they're saying. Now, if they're saying that just so that they can make themselves feel better, because once again, your unbelief is making them uncomfortable. So they're projecting onto you what they want to tell themselves. That's a different thing. When I was going through it with our kids, I didn't tell them that. I just said, well, okay, if you want to. I thought it though. Oh, I believed it fully, and I was right. But I believed it completely. But I didn't need to say that to them. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I told one of my atheist friends that about a year and a half ago. He said, am I going to hell then? Because he said he was a Christian. I said, I don't know if you're going to hell. He's like, well, I was a Christian, then I left. And I was like, well, theologically speaking, I believe if you're truly a Christian, you're going to come back. And he goes, oh, okay, so that's why you're saying you don't know if I'm going to hell. I said, correct. And now he's a Christian, and he's a hardcore Christian. He's got like a internet ministry, and he's actually we did a show with him. Oh, like 2 weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? I gotta go. So I had another discussion. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that because they're in the room. But yeah, it just depends on the reasoning for why they say that. Hey, Matthew Hoyle, that would be like if I collected Beanie Babies as a kid and stopped, then it would mean that I never liked Beanie Babies. Or you could ask some questions, Daniel, because that analogy.
Riza's not going to bed. What should?
No, I think we're okay. We're okay.
Put him
No, leave him. Is he in the crib right now?
No, he's downstairs.
I'll just leave him then.
Okay.
Let's go to work.
Yeah, he can just go to bed. Leave him alone in there.
Yeah, Daniel, the analogy about the Beanie Babies is missing the element of God operating in the heart of a person. So that's kind of a naturalistic understanding of how a person becomes a Christian. If you think a person only becomes a Christian because they made a decision, then of course, correct, it would be nonsense. But if you believe that a person became a Christian because God worked supernaturally on their heart, well, then God has something to say about it. And in that case, just again, from a theological perspective, God would have to be stronger than you, right? So, as soon as I said God would have to be stronger than you, and Ryan goes, no! Proof of original sin, dear listener. Okay, commercial break. We'll be right back. I'm Ben.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of Alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VIN AND SORI. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
And we, dear listener, have another jam from the big homie. You'll see it up
Mike
there very
Franco.
soon. DJ Mike freaking Franco.
Heavy metal makes everything better.
Heavy metal makes everything better.
All right, you guys.
Speaking
Next
of
up,
those accents, did you see that documentary I was watching last night? Did you get to catch that at all?
some of it, yeah. The con.
It's right up your alley. We'll watch
I know. I wanted to watch
Yeah,
it, and
you
I
passed
started
out at
it. I don't
Sheldon.
know if you noticed, but it had been started by like 2 minutes, and then I was like, "Dang it, I can't do it." I wanted to watch it, but I just couldn't watch it without you, so I stopped it.
I believe it is a decision in the compatibilist sense, but since most of you are libertarians, I'll agree with you and disagree with you simultaneously.
Oh my God, babe.
Okay, guys.
Okay.
Here we go. Why are you laughing at me?
Sometimes you say these things and there's so many giant words in there, and
Enterpri-
like it's just a lot. It's just funny because you're looking like a cool guy with your bandana on.
I bet you're gonna say ignorant Negro. Go ahead,
No,
say, oh, you got a bandana on. You look like you're from the
you're
ghetto.
looking like a cool guy, like you could come out with these great raps, which you do, but then at the same time you're super smart and
Enterprise Earth.
you don't look like a nerd. But
What is it? Is Enterprise Earth next? Where
no,
dreams go
Lamb to
die?
the no, I'm sorry, yeah, where dreams are broken by Enterprise Earth. Yes. Stop looking at me and just start the song.
I was right, dear listener. Let the record state.
Ah!
All right, guys, here we go. DJ Mike Franco, Enterprise Earth, where dreams, what now?
Where dreams are broken.
Where dreams are broken. 4920. Let's go. This sounds interesting.
Yeah, it does. This sounds like you're going to pay for this. Wouldn't that be a perfect spot for a scream?
Brace yourself, bitches! Mike Franco is feeling trashy today, ladies and gents. Brace yourself!
Yes! goodness.
You seem to fully enjoy this song.
It's a pretty crazy song. Oh my goodness.
You look crazy right now.
That's because I know people.
What? You look crazy because you know people?
No, that's because like I was thinking of a specific situation of somebody that I had sent messages to that I was like, yo. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm thinking about this situation. And so I was like picturing somebody that like, I was picturing two types of people while I was doing the song. One of them was somebody who is like, like it says, betrayed by, okay, I've lost everyone and everything. I have nothing left to lose. Betrayed by the closest to me. All I ever wanted was a place to call home. All I ever gotten was a desolate place to roam. So there was like one version of the person where it's like, where they're demonized and made to be the black sheep, and they really like they didn't necessarily do anything to get themselves in that place. And then on the other hand is someone, because this is the thing, he was saying like, I'm broken fucked me up, no one here can bring me back broken, this world has effed me up. So there's like the two, everybody can say that, like mostly. I mean, like, have you ever met anybody that they were like, yo, life's been great, I never had any issues? Like, I think a lot of people, because we live in a sinful world, have things
I think
that...
Peggy was like that. Her life's been pretty smooth.
That you thought of. You knew me for the longest and you thought my life was pretty smooth.
Yeah, but I knew her pretty well. I mean, she told me basically her life was smooth. The hardest part was that Hal had to travel for the Navy and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know, because I would have told you that for a whole section of my life. I would have said that too. I would have said, yeah, it was very smooth. I did say that to you bunches of times. I was like, I don't know. I don't have anything really to say. Everything was pretty smooth.
So you think everybody had a hard life?
I think degrees, obviously. I think that some people have it really, really... I mean, there are some things that we've heard of that have just been unbelievable. Stuff that just...
So you don't believe Peggy when she said that she had a pretty simple life?
I find it very difficult to believe. Especially...
When I look at the way she handles problems, like things that to me seem very small, like if you see a person like whining about a stubbed toe, you're like, okay, they've never had a broken bone. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So there's things that like people who've been through stuff seem to just be desensitized to that she wasn't.
I would agree with that. Although if you bury your head in the sand and you don't acknowledge that certain things have happened. Obviously,
so you think it's possible that people can go through life without a major crisis or trauma? You don't think that that's possible?
Not really, no.
See, I don't think... I think there's millions of people that have had lives that are just...
vanilla. Just nothing.
Not necessarily vanilla, but without a major crisis or trauma. You know, parents stayed together and they went to school. And...
it depends on how you say major. Like...
something that's traumatic.
Yeah, I don't know. I find that hard to believe that somebody can live and die and not have any trauma. They never dealt with trauma. I don't think so.
Like, what do you mean by trauma?
Well, that's the question, right?
Like...
I don't know what that means.
Like something... like, we use the term traumatized because something especially horrible happened that left a horrible imprint on them that they can't shake, right? I don't think that everybody has gone through something like that.
You think that somebody can live their whole life and not have anything like that happen to them?
I do. I think millions of people live that way.
What?
Yeah. I mean, where in the Bible does it say you have to have some horrible trauma happen to you?
I mean, how... I don't know. I mean, that's pretty crazy. Wow, that'd be such a weird world to live in. Well, no. I mean, for the longest time, I felt like nothing really happened.
Well, I'm not talking about, like, ignoring it. I'm talking about literally...
nothing happened.
Nothing majorly traumatic happened. Parents stayed together. Nobody killed themselves. Nobody was assaulted.
That's crazy.
You know, I had a little fight at school, but, you know, typical things that people go through. Yeah. But pretty much live a regular lifespan and then go on to glory. I think millions of people live like that.
Wow. I don't know what I think about that.
Are you upset at those people?
No. The only time I would be upset at the... Well, okay, I guess...
The only trauma I had in life was meeting you two.
Lies, Amy.
That's true for a lot of people. But you just can't quit us. Which is also true for a lot of people. You miserable person, you. You know what I'm talking about. Go ahead.
Geez, I don't know. I mean, I will say that, like... No, I don't think I have a problem with people never going through anything if that's really the case. I think the only reason I would have an issue with that is like, boy, I don't know. I was gonna say like,
well, this guy certainly had some trauma.
well, yeah.
People deserted him in his time of need.
Yeah, but okay, so what I was saying was there was the two versions, right? One of them is somebody who's been basically made to be the black sheep. And I'm not necessarily talking about who you think I'm talking about.
Yeah, in the family system, yeah.
Yeah, but just in generalizations, they've become the black sheep. They didn't do anything necessarily. Maybe something happened that they don't even really know about because they were a kid. Wow, I just got this really huge craving for Jell-O. Anyway, so no, I mean, I think I must have seen an ad or something. Anyway, so there's that person, and then the next person is someone who, like, I guarantee you, if you talk to Mr. Alaska Bound, he would probably be like, boo-hoo, I've been abandoned by my family and this and that. But he's like,
he deserves to die.
I mean,
guy.
He's a bad person.
Yeah.
And he created that situation, and we met that other person where it's like, so like, I guess that's why I felt a little crazy when I was going through the song, because I was like, should I agree with this person or should I be angry at this person? Like, I didn't know what to do with the song because I didn't know, like, are they legitimately a victim? If they are, then we should feel compassion for them. But if there's somebody who's not a victim, but they've made victims of other people and then they want us to feel bad for them, then, you know, because okay, so I was going to say everybody has had effed up stuff happen to them, but eventually somebody has to say, okay, well, just because effed up stuff happened to me doesn't mean I'm going to do that to somebody else. And somebody has to do that. Like, you know, like that's that whole eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth thing. And then basically Jesus comes along and he says, that's no longer going to be the case. Like, now we turn the other cheek. Well, you can look at that in like a conflict situation, but you can also look at that as like, you know, failings that your parents had that now you have, and you're going to pass those on to your kids and let them duke it out and deal with it, or are you going to figure it out so you can pass them, you know, so you can teach them properly so that they can be more equipped for their future, or, you know, people that, you know.
Well, here's the thing. I said that guy deserves to die. But
yeah, break the cycle, Gothma. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
His family shouldn't be the ones to kill him.
It shouldn't? Is that what you said?
Yeah. I don't think his family should be the one to kill him. So my point is, like, everybody should have a group of people that are going to be with them regardless. Like, I always say, like, I pretty much take my mom's philosophy on this. It didn't matter whether I was right or wrong. Publicly, she was always on my side. Privately, when we got home, she gave me the right hand of fellowship.
I wonder what that...
So, my mother, like, it didn't matter. Like, you know, your son beat up my son. What him do? What him do? Nothing. Your son was just angry. Come on.
Your son was just
He beat you just so. He beat you just so. Basically means, oh, he fucked you up for no reason, huh? And they were like, yeah, no reason.
Is that what happened?
That's what happened a few times. I'm not gonna lie. Fuck Johnny
And
Jones.
you were just angry.
Nah, she knew I was an angry kid. She's like, me not believe it. And then she came home and said, why are you always beating on these poor white people?
Oh my gosh.
And Jamaican parents whoop you like they'll talk to you. Remember that little skit?
Yeah.
You're doing your rude and nasty and...
But you don't nasty.
Shout out to Mom Dukes. It's like, I feel like your family, you know, we had a pretty heavy conversation with one of the kids, and I said, you know, XY scenario, and I said, worst possible scenario that could happen, and I stopped and I said, if that scenario happened, God forbid, I'd still love you, I'd still ride with you. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm going to ride and die with you till the end, period. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that outsiders can't distribute justice. So, when you're looking at this song, all I ever wanted was a place to call home. All I ever gotten was a desolate place to roam, which obviously is a biblical... That's a biblical allusion where Jesus said that when a demon goes out of a person, it goes to waterless places seeking rest.
Okay.
So, all I ever wanted was a place to call home, and all I ever got was a desolate place to roam. Basically, he was demonized by his own family.
Oh.
There's a way to hold your family members accountable while still loving them unconditionally. And, you know, unconditionality is a big theme for me with the kids. Just because I'm not saying my parents did a bad job at it. Because my parents, now that I'm a parent, had so many extenuating circumstances. But I go out of my way to display and show and speak unconditionality over the kids. Because that's really, really important. I would never want the kids to be in this situation. Like where they would say something like that. I think the kids are going to say the home isn't perfect and that dad isn't perfect and all the rest of it. But I trust, God willing, that they'll be able to say, yeah, my dad went out of his way to tell me that he loved me unconditionally in the midst of a lot of, you know, crazy shit. And that manifests itself in different ways. And it's a very hard line between loving a person unconditionally and enabling horrible behavior.
Yep.
You need, at least from my vantage point, divine guidance is how to do that. Because if you fall on either side of the ditch, you can be extremely destructive. Because on the one hand, we pity people that you know, are treated this way, but we also can't stand trust fund kids.
Yeah.
Who completely
that's
get
facts.
enabled with everything and they're never told no and all the rest of it.
Yep.
So, like, that's a really hard balance to strike, especially with children. I mean, your spouse, it's different. Other people, it's different. But I think if there are people in your circle, like in your house that you call family, that there should be that unconditionality to the love. And if you don't, you know, as Mike said, you could hear the pain in the guy's voice. And I usually don't like vocals like this because I'm like, oh my God, like the entire time you're going, ah! But I definitely felt like dude was having a hard time. Like,
Yeah.
that he was seriously going through it and seriously relating to the lyrics of this song. That this wasn't just, you know, hey.
I thought that this part was interesting. He said, words left unspoken are left in my mind where dreams are broken. And I was like, I wonder what that is. That's either he wished he would have stood up for himself when they were were breaking him.
Yeah.
Instead of letting, you know, his heart get ravaged by hatred, that he should have spoke up for himself. Or it's like, you know, sometimes I think that people are regretful of things that they've done or they've said, but they can't bring themselves to admit it because that somehow makes it more true than they're ready to face. And so they don't want to confess it or ask someone to forgive them or whatever. But I don't think that's where he was going. I think he's more looking at it like he wished he would have said something. But
yeah. Well, he's saying, I won't let my dreams be broken, which is a good, regardless of whether you're guilty or innocent or way too far down the badness scale, that's still a positive. You still want people to have that positive aspect because there's nothing, you know, it's like we're reading in Atlas Shrugged where they said, what makes a bad man bad? And one of the answers in the book was a man without purpose. And so a lot of times what we're calling a dream is just an idealized form of a person's purpose in life. And so
yep.
That is true. When a person really feels purposeless and that their dreams are come to naught, and then especially in a capitalist Sitzenleben where you're just literally just a cog in a machine, that creates a very nihilistic and violent stream, particularly in men, particularly in young men.
Yeah.
It creates a real nihilistic, violent stream of thought. So even if the person...
Did you say when they're not heard? What did you say was it?
When they have no purpose.
Oh, what no purpose, yeah.
When they feel completely purposeless and they feel that their dreams are dying or dead and they feel that all they have to look forward to is plugging into a machine, to a capitalist machine, it turns them into very bitter people who, especially in men, it manifests in violence. Because there's a certain rage and bitterness at this sort of mystical entity who took the dream from you. So no matter how bad the person is, you want them to still have a dream, because it it'll keep everybody around them alive. And I mean that literally. Like, think about it.
Oh.
All these random active shooters and all that jazz, the vast majority of them are male. If they truly felt like they had something to lose, most of them wouldn't do it. Mm-hmm. But the genesis of a lot of that, and it's funny too, like, and I know a little bit about this, even in the Islamic world, the folks who volunteer for those, quote, martyrdom operations are young men who feel that they have no future. The Israelis completely took their future from them. Whether or not that's true, and I believe it is in some degree.
Or when you think about where they've been radicalized because
Correct.
they've been put in, you know.
Yeah, you just saw your sister. She's going to some nice wedding, and the Americans can, from thousands of feet above, completely disintegrate her body right in front of you.
Yeah.
It makes you go, none of my dreams are worth anything, and then they become vulnerable.
Absolutely.
To these sheiks who, for some reason, are never the ones blowing themselves up. They become vulnerable to that. And so people want to have this simple, Islam, they just blow themselves. Shut the fuck up. That's not, no. There are a lot of other geopolitical factors. Of course, Americans never want to take accountability for that. We just want to call people crazy and all the rest of it. But yeah, and that's why, like, there are different penologies, like theories of justice. And one is just pure punitive justice, which is you did something bad, we're going to punish you. We're not talking about developing you. We're not talking about, rehabilitating you. A lot of people go, oh, prison's supposed to be rehabilitative. No, that's just one. That's one theory of penology, which I agree with.
You think that...
I believe in the rehabilitative theory of penology because I think it's, unless you're going to kill those people. Oddly enough.
No, I just think that the system needs to be different than it is.
Well, no, I'm not even talking about the American system.
Okay.
I'm just talking about justice itself, the concept of justice.
Okay.
You want either, an extremely punitive society where you just kill people who are just in that 5% outlier group. So if you're a sexual assaulter, you're a murderer, see ya. Because if you let those people back into society and you don't give them anything to rehabilitate themselves, and then they're in society as an outcast, they're going to do horrible shit. What did Cain do? He said, hey, you're going to drive me from the land. Anybody who finds me will kill me. God says, nah, you're good. And Cain was able to go, and what does he do? He builds a city.
Yeah, he builds a city.
He had a dream.
Yeah.
He had a son. God gave him a son. And he gave him the ingenuity and the dream to build a city. And so he's like, okay, Cain, go for it, bro. And he had something to occupy his time
It's true, because a lot of times when people get out of jail, they have a hard time finding jobs.
They have nothing.
And they can't get a job because
they can't get a job.
You're a convict? What?
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. So that right there is I think it's really important, and a lot of people have had that taken from them. And society sits in judgment of those people. And what I'm saying is, well, if you're not going to take them off the earth, then rehabilitative justice is the way to go. Yeah. Because if you're just saying, no, we just punish them, all you're doing is punishing society, because that person's going to get out eventually.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
So,
That's,
there you go.
Yep. So I really like the song a lot. This one's a 9.4 for me.
This song sonically was so all over the place.
In a negative or a positive?
In a positive way.
Yeah, I loved it.
Now,
it made me feel a little crazy.
I upset a lot of people, a particular band, I won't mention them.
Oh no.
But there was one where it was just like, and this, and this, and this, and this. But I felt like the experimentation, because they were experimenting a little bit with some stuff, but it was still, it still made sense to me. The transitions and the jagged edges, all those made sense to me in the song.
Agreed.
And it made me very curious. This is the first time we've actually, Enterprise Earth is the name of the band. The first time I've ever actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't feel like we've done them before.
We've never heard them before, so shout out. But this is why we have the DJ streams, dear listener. Somebody in the comment section was like, "Why are you always listening to these no-name bands? Get back to the blah 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 blah." It's like,
that's true. Now that you commanded us to do that, we'll start right away, sir.
Yeah, and it's not like I mean, how many reaction channels are doing Enterprise Earth? Mm-hmm. I mean, we found a way to do this stuff and still make this, you know, our source of income. Mm-hmm. Like, we got the life, man. There's lots of Metallica Tool, you know, channels out there. Well,
apparently they want to hear your input on it.
Channels out there. But anyway, I really like this song. 9 dots. I'm going to give it a solid 9 because I like the previous song better. Go ahead.
It's a 9.4 for me.
There you are,
I thought we were going to come up with the same score.
If you're among the righteous and you're still in the stream, stand by. We're not even halfway done yet. Keep chilling out with us. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Go. The biggest thing about faith, Alan, is to recognize that unless you're an omniscient being, it is impossible to function in the world without faith. It doesn't matter what you call yourself. For example, I always ask people, do you believe in the Big Bang? Yes. Were you there to observe it? No. But redshift, how do you know? Have you observed the redshift? How do you know that interpretation of redshift is correct? You read it in a book. You mean to tell me that your understanding of the origins of the universe came from a book?
Oh, sounds familiar.
But those people are peer-reviewed. Peer-reviewed is not a very good way of ascertaining the truth. Any scientist that studies statistics will tell you that. So my point is, it's not even relationally. Mm-hmm. This whole thing with COVID is a clear example of we put our faith in the scientific community and other people didn't. Mm-hmm. But it was all faith. We didn't know shit. So unless you're an omniscient being, the first thing about faith is to realize that you already have it. Unless you're an omniscient being, subhanallah, you can't fly a plane. You can't go in a, and even if you're the pilot, you have to have faith that the mechanics are not terrorists who planted a bomb in your, or even the structural integrity of the craft. Mm-hmm. You have to have faith in the engineers that built the craft.
Well, you have faith that you're going to wake up tomorrow. That's why you make your schedule.
Right. I mean, so
even in the smallest of things, we have to have faith for so many things.
Yeah. So to me, faith is what's in the gap between rational knowledge and certainty. You can have rational knowledge that's attainable as a human being.
BC,
but
what in the
absolute
world?
And total certainty about things you cannot have as a human being. And so what is in the middle of that is faith. You make decisions every day. You make thousands of faith decisions every single day. Including faith in yourself. As I said, if you consider yourself a rational being, that means you have faith in your own mind that it's sound. And that's not being pedantic, because there's a lot of people in psych wards all over the place that have faith in their minds and they're completely divorced from reality. So that is a major, major faith claim that your mind is sound. Okay. Having said that, dear listener, the time has arrived for the commercial break. I shall return.
If you found out,
I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
Rubbish. That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
They do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VIN AND SORI. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed.
And a child shall lead them. Oh, whoops. That was your line again. I keep doing that.
It's okay.
It's
okay.
It takes you forever to say it sometimes, I feel. So I jump it.
I see.
All right,
Shut
you
the
guys.
blind man to the dead man.
I'm sorry. That's Vin. And we're in the middle of a DJ stream for the big homie DJ Franco. The next song on our list is another. Did you say Sylosis?
This is Sylosis, I think.
Or Sylosis. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a Sylosis song, and the name of it is Teras.
How do we know that those measurements are accurate? How do we know the minds of the people measuring it are accurate? And how do we know that our minds are interpreting the data that they're communicating to us correctly, are accurate, definitively?
Yeah.
All those require faith in a presupposition that's unprovable. Okay, Teras by the band Sylosis, but more importantly than the band is the DJ, which you will see up here, brought to you by DJ Mike. You get 4 songs, you buy 4 songs, you're the DJ of the night, you direct what time we do it. Sometimes we do it at 8 p.m. EST, one time we did it at 12, one time we did it at 3 p.m. EST. That's all up to the DJ. That's none of our business, dear listener. It's none of our business.
True. It's none of our concern.
It's not our concern. Bring it up with the DJ. One of these days we might have a data. We might publish a schedule. I don't think we'll ever publish the schedule.
I thought of it.
I don't think you'd like that.
That's why one of the reasons why I originally put the board up.
Amy's the worst. I'm not even gonna post that.
Oh God, Amy.
You guys are 2 peas in a pod, I tell you.
I know. Literally tonight, I was like, man, I felt so lousy today all day. I just felt like garbage. I was like, man, I wish I could just go hang out with Amy.
Good night, Rose.
Talk about horrible things.
Good night, Rose.
Plus, you're funny, Amy. I like that.
Yeah, those degrees of certainty, Vlad, are called faith. You either have certainty or you don't. Okay. All right, guys, here we go. The name of this song is Teras by Sylosis. DJ Mike in the house. Let's do it. Okay.
Whoa.
It was developing. It was developing. It was developing. Yes! Gang, gang. I like this guy. He puts headbanging session.
I know.
Vlad, do you have faith that the speed limit's going to be the same based on your rational conclusion that you've been down that road a million times, but you don't have certainty? Certainty is a zero-sum game. But what you described is my definition of faith, which is the gap between reasonable knowledge and certainty. What's in the gap is faith. That's where I'm at. What's the M word, Amy? Let me see if Amy can find a way to corrupt a word starting with the letter M.
There's lots of ways to do that.
Really?
Yep.
Give me one. Man, mute the mics. The world I live in. What a horrible world. And there's
boy.
BC purposely misspelling masturbation.
All right, you guys. Let's get
The
into
M
this
word
song.
is. And
Okay.
then there's Sadie spelling it properly. And I'm just gonna go ahead and delete that.
Middle Earth said, you put it up on the thing. Middle Earth, LOL. No, he says, love galloping guitars. That is what it kind of sounded like.
Yeah. They take really like staple metal riffs, like that's a staple metal riff that they just did some triplets on it, but then they added some scale work to it. So that's something I'm gonna copy. Vin, did you just learn something new about Sori?
No.
Yes.
You didn't learn anything new about me. You've always known I'm like this. That's why you
No, certainty literally means you cannot be
discouraged
wrong.
me from being friends with Amy. I'm just kidding.
No, certainty literally means you cannot be wrong. That's what certainty is. Otherwise, you're just redefining terms, brother. Okay, so this song, I think, is about the corruption of the world, which is good because we're talking about you, we're talking about Amy.
Hey! You better chill.
And the horrible circumstance that our children are gonna inherit, based on you and Amy and things of that nature. Okay, so look at the world bestowed onto our. This is a conversation we had with that dude from The Art Is Murder, that Andy guy.
Oh,
when he wrote that song.
yeah.
Look at the
Yeah,
world.
we have an interview on our channel by
Yes.
Thy Artist Murder.
Yes,
Just look up
sir.
Thy Artist Murder interview and you'll be able to find it.
Yes, it's a good interview. He's a real deep dude. He's a real solid dude.
Yes, and he talks about very interesting cheeseburgers. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Too much.
And some beer. And some beer.
Bear.
Beer. Foster's.
All right.
Australian for beer. Look at the world bestowed onto our children. Their lives are over before they've begun. The weak lost in temptations of the flesh. This guy's very interesting because this is the same band that wrote the first song, which was saying your God has abandoned you.
Yeah.
You've lost. Your faith is unraveled. But here he's using again kind of this Christian religious terminology.
Yeah.
The weak lost in temptations of the flesh. We will see the will of tyrants gaining strength, fear in control. The screams are everywhere. What year was this song written?
Jeez. Yikes.
We still got to try that mead, bruh. What
Yeah.
year? I asked you what year the song is written, and of course,
That's because
I'm ignored.
I'm too busy looking at this and
What is
and
this?
feeling,
Teras?
yeah. This
Okay.
is this is crazy.
Why? What's going on?
Well,
2008.
Flash.
It was this song was written in 2008.
Right. It reminded me of The Purge, that first. The weak lost in temptations of the flesh, we see the will of tyrants gaining strength. When it says the weak lost in temptations of the flesh, is it saying that the weak are lost because their flesh is tempting them and they just go along with it? Or are they saying the weak are lost because the other ones are...
They got swept away by the other people's.
Yeah.
Maybe a both and situation.
Wrong answer, Ben. Wrong answer.
Both and.
You know, I just want some black and whites. If there's any black and white... Oh, wait. We are black and white.
Oh, get it? Because I'm an African-American fella and she's Caucasian. So...
Jesus, their lives are over before they have begun. You know, that's the mindset that gets people saying, I'm not going to have kids. You know, the thing is, it's such a crazy way of looking at it because kids will actually give you hope where you didn't have it. Like, I see so many, and I'm talking about moms. I'm not sure, I can't speak from a father perspective, but I see so many moms, and so many of them tell me, if I wouldn't have had my kid, I know I would have killed myself. But I had to stay alive for my kid. And then that gave them hope for the future, and then they made it through some of that. I'm not saying that kids are your savior. I'm just saying that has proven true for a lot of women that I've spoken to. You know, you look at them, they're all... You know, I was having a horrible day. I felt so sick. There's Orion jumping all over the bed. He found a banana, and then he's 2. He's jumping on the bed, and he's yelling a song about a banana. And then he found a potato. He said, "Mommy, is this a potato?" I said, "Yeah." And then he started jumping and making a whole song about a potato. And it's just so simple and so cute. Just seeing, you know,
having children. I wish. I gotta be careful here because there's some people that can't have kids.
I know. Yeah.
It's such a transformative event. Mm-hmm. And it's such a worldview altering event that...
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to keep harping on it. I think that's one of the great crimes of the zeitgeist in the Western world in the last 50 years is this kids are burdensome, blah, blah, blah. And one of the reasons I stopped watching Kevin Samuels was because...
Oh, yeah, he's terrible with that.
Well, no, it was these women. They were told, especially black women. Get your career, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah.
Then they hit 40, 45, and then they want to get married and have a family. And you know how he is. He's just cruel as fuck. He's like, that time's past you, man. They ain't no... And for black women in particular, if you hit that age, it's rough.
Yeah, they were like
It's rough.
They were just putting their eggs on ice so they could live their best life now. And
well, and again, in the black community, there's partly because of Biden's crime bill, there's so much fatherlessness that the girls were taught, hey, get your career, you don't need a man, yada, 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 yada. And they were replicating but then they have this desire to be a mother and a wife, but they're 40 and 45.
Yeah, but a lot of them...
And then they told all the black dudes to get to stepping.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's what I was going to say. Like, I noticed that a lot of them had been proposed to.
Oh, yeah.
Multiple times.
I know, it was heartbreak. I couldn't watch it anymore. I couldn't look at it anymore.
You know.
Because they had it. It was right there.
Yeah.
But because they were given this, this crazy understanding of,
I can't imagine.
It's just rough.
That would be a really, really stressful thing. If you had somebody that didn't make enough money and you thought you needed X amount of money, and so you dropped that person, and then you married somebody who had money but didn't love you like the other one did, and then you realize as you're older
but it's not even about money. With them, it's
well, the ones that I saw, a lot of it was about money.
Yeah, but the root of it is the self-sufficiency angle of the quote strong black woman, and because black women have had to do pretty much raise children by themselves all through the 90s, 80s and 90s between the crack era and the Biden era. There was this sort of the motif of the strong black, and it was earlier, but the reiterated version of it really came out in the 90s as we were coming up. And that's what they were taught. That's what we were all taught. And then they get to be our age, and then they look around and they want a couple kids. They want a bunch of kids. And that's it, that for black women. Once black women hit 40, if they're single, the prospects are horrible, statistically speaking. And so, that's a sign so I couldn't watch it anymore. It's just horrible watching him say that to these women, and you could just tell, like, they had the career, they had whatever, and you could tell they would have traded it in an instant. But it's one of those things. But like when you have a child, it's extremely transformative for people. The name of this particular song, Tony's also, it's between Tony and Franco, who are our first DJs actually. This is
Yeah,
Sylosis
Tony's
Teras.
been here for a while.
Teras. Teras. Their lives are over before they begun. The weak loss and temptations of flesh. We will see the reign of the will of tyrants gaining strength. It's really fascinating when you think about tyranny, because on the one side you've got Putin, who I believe Putin is viewed as far right in Russia. I think we had a Russian guy here. Putin's viewed as far right, and he's about to do some real tyrannical shit. Apparently, he just greenlighted his guys. I'm like checking it ever so often.
He greenlighted them for what?
To really go after Ukraine. And then we have. So right now he's got the troops into eastern Ukraine. So it may pop off. It hasn't popped off yet. So I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna ring the alarm bell. And then on the other hand, we have Trudeau, who is also a tyrant and doing tyrannical shit. But that's okay because there was a guy waving a Nazi flag. Allahu Akbar.
It's crazy.
People like,
look at Tony. I wasn't first VIN, just the best.
Just the best.
When all
people were waving a Nazi flag, so that justifies going in and taking people's. It's mind-boggling to me. It's absolute, and I'm like, what is going to happen if Canada repeals universal health care and a bunch of leftists rightly take to the streets and rightly start agitating? Mm-hmm. And this dude has already just set a precedent for people to have this ridiculous overreach of power, and then they plant some Marxist in the middle of the group who's waving a hammer and sickle flag and go, "Oh look, these are Marxists." So that means we can broad brush the entire movement, and now go into your bank account and freeze your.
I can't believe that's so mind-boggling. It's unbelievable.
The fact that people don't see that the coin can easily be flipped against your side.
Yeah.
Oh, they're a bunch of racist right-wingers, man. And one of them said to me, "Oh, these are white nationalists." I'm like, the lady that got trampled with full-blooded mohawk. Irrelevant!
Okay. All right.
What? This is the same thing that happened on the right with the Patriot Act. Patriot Act happened. We're going to do all this surveillance on people. We're going to do all this. We're going to tap into your phone and shit. All this craziness, right? And it was like, yeah, good, because we want Muhammad. We want Muhammad surveilled. We need to surveil Muhammad. And then we got the rendition program. People don't know about that. We can literally pluck you up and put you in a black site. For a fact. It's true. We can pluck you up and put you in a black site. You come into consciousness and you're in Yemen. You have no idea where you are.
God.
That's a fact. We can do that. And they were cool with it. Then Obama showed up. And
I would be so stressed if that happened.
And he used the Patriot Act to spy on people he considered dangerous, which were white right-wingers who were coming back from Iraq. You remember when that memo came out, got leaked, saying that those are the most dangerous people in America? So the Patriot Act got used against them. All of a sudden, it was the end of the world. Mm-hmm. And the fact that so-called leftists don't see that what Trudeau has just done can easily be turned on them.
1,000%.
Is mind-boggling to me. This is without precedent. The civil liberties unions are all up in arms about this because they know, like, this is absolute tyranny. But we're so, God help me, but we are so simplistic in our thinking that we go right, bad, left, good.
Yeah.
Putin, tyranny. Trump, tyranny. Trump racist.
It's
Biden,
easier to
not
think
racist.
that way. It's much more difficult to have to put the thought and energy into the nuances and figure out, hey, what is this going to look like if this goes forward? Can this, because remember, I don't know, you probably do remember, when we first started doing Middle America years ago or something, you had said something about, you were like, oh my gosh, there's this whole thing, punch a Nazi. And I was like, they should know that they could get punched if they go out there.
Yeah.
And, but then after, like, it took some time and then I realized, like, whoa, wait a minute, that's really bad, because all it has to be is they just have to flip it. Like, we can all agree that, you know, being a Nazi and going around like that, that's not good. But what if all of a sudden they flip it and they decide, you know,
punch a leftist, punch a
leftist.
Marxist,
yeah.
I'm sorry, but Marxists killed a bunch of people, just like Nazis. They killed bunches of people. So this is madness. This is absolute madness. And Adam, God bless you, brother. But I talk to hundreds of people. You're one person. I'm not talking about you. I'm glad you're in the chat, but we're talking to bunches of people because there's a bunch of unforward thinking people. And I would commend everybody to play a good game of chess, because chess makes you think 5 moves ahead. Mm-hmm. Think 5 moves ahead. Mm-hmm. Especially if literally you're using the exact same template that the right wingers were using for BLM. It's literally the same template. You get a group of people that you don't like. You take the exception to the rule. In that case, it was people destroying property. Mm-hmm. You ignore the reality of agent provocateurs. You then paint the entire group as horrible, even though you have evidence to the contrary. And then you justify all types of tyrannical government overreach, people getting shot in the face 5 feet away. Well, you shouldn't. I saw one where they were talking about the lady. I think her name is Serrano, was a lady that got trampled. And one of the people said, well, she saw the horse coming. And this is just, really, at the end of the day, this is just bigotry and hate, man. That's all it is. These people at the government, the elites, have gotten us to hate each other. So
if
the
she
minute
was
you
beating the hell out of somebody,
yeah,
and then she got hit by the horse, you know what I mean? But she's standing there and she was talking about wanting peace for her grandchildren,
which is the
like,
song.
Serious?
It's a song. It's a song. She said we want peace for our but there's no pity for her at all, because she's on the right wing. This woman is a full-blooded Mohawk, elder in her or whatever. I doubt very highly that her politics are right wing. Mm-hmm. But this is what happens when you have a grassroots uprising. People saying silly things like, these people make $100K a year. Ridiculous. That's not the point. That's not the point. The point is, do you want that can of beans open? You cannot close it just because this is a thing that's like hilarious to me. Like sometimes with these people with police brutality, and the white lady got arrested. She's like, but I'm white.
Oh my gosh.
I'm white.
I mean,
so like now the Emergencies Act gets used against your folks. You're gonna say, whoa, wait a second, wait.
Yeah.
That's not how tyranny works. And this guy Trudeau is obviously drunk on power, obviously. But the folks, this is where I say people on this side of the world are much more intelligent in their application of tyranny than, let's say, Putin. Because Putin's tyranny is just plain naked. Whereas Trudeau's tyranny, these people have done such a good job of getting us to hate one another that sort of bile is, you're starting to see people, you're seeing it coming out on social media where they don't care. Yeah. They don't care a woman got trampled. They don't care about her clavicle got broken. And then it makes them irrational. Oh, these are white nationalists. Oh, she's a full-blooded Mohawk. Irrelevant. You're no longer able to reason. Mm-hmm. And this kind of tyranny is way more terrifying to me than the Putin stuff. This kind of tyranny is how you get one guy who's able to get people to turn against their neighbors, hate them, and liquidate them. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
The Putin stuff is different. You know what Putin is, and there's no pretense. But this what I'm seeing here in the last 2 or 3 years in America, people killing each other in the streets and all this shit. And I'm a student of history as well. You know, when you look at the Jewish wars, this is exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. And if you're not a student of history, you got a bunch of young people who don't get it. Mm-hmm. And it's terrifying. Now it's like, yo, I'm looking at these comments. I'm like, yo, these people really hate each other, bro. Yep. They truly want to see people who disagree with them politically destroyed. It's like, holy shit. And you know, there's a lot of ways. There's a lot of ways to skin a cat and make an omelet. Yep. And you can be tyrannical on the Putin route. You can also be tyrannical on the Trudeau route. And
you know what's crazy
holy
too
shit.
Is that I think more people can say that quote, that those that fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Mm-hmm. More people know that quote than know history. I think
Say again?
more people know that quote, that if you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Yeah.
People know that quote all over the place, but there's tons of people who don't know their history and
Correct.
don't realize we're just repeating it right now.
100%. And we're so short-sighted.
Yep.
That these people really think, oh yeah, Trudeau can open that ball of wax and it's not going to come against me or my folks.
Yeah, that's probably, I always felt like history was, no offense, I just felt like history was a waste of time, like the way that it was taught to me, like it was so detailed and you had to memorize like hundreds of dates and it didn't even make any sense to me. But I think that if you did a history class, it would be so interesting. If you did a history class where you took principles and you said, okay, like the principle is like this. The overreach of the government and when you put people in power and those people, exactly what's happening. And then you show throughout history, not just American history, but all histories where that happened and the havoc that it wreaked. Can you imagine if that was what history class was in schools?
Well, I think like if you look at, Cassia says, I agree. As a history teacher, I see a lot of scary parallels.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I bet.
So the problem is that Cassia may not be free to explain to the students based on what silly political spectrum the powers that be at the PTA are in her school. So if they're right wing, then she can't talk about the tyranny of what happened to BLM, and if they're left wing, she can't talk about Trudeau's tyranny. I mean, this shit is insane.
Oh, would I? She said I'd like her class.
Oh, 100%.
Do you record any of them?
Record them.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah. Really, 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 really good song, and it's really prophetic. I mean, this was written in 2008, and here's Adam again.
Fear and control. The screams are everywhere.
Adam, if
After
somebody
the sound of
who
millions
believes in
roaring
QAnon says that 2 + 2 is 4, they're right. There's something called the genetic fallacy, which is somebody's wrong based on who they are, what they believe. Okay, this is a form of the genetic fallacy that you're committing. Just because they're on the right, just because they're QAnon, just because they're Nazis, doesn't mean they're wrong 100% of the time. Facts need to be weighed, evidence needs to be discerned, and rational decisions need to be made, regardless of whether or not it's a homeless person in an RV. Because I had some very enlightened person tell me, an eyewitness to the Nazi flag thing, somebody posted that in the comment section. And one of the commentators said, oh mate, this guy's a homeless guy in an RV. Well, should we believe him? Yeah, I believe him. He was there. I believe him. Because the person that said that, I know for a fact wasn't there. But I'm supposed to ignore the guy because he's homeless in an RV. We've got to stop hating and disrespecting each other. Mm-hmm. These people are going to turn us. I'm telling you, it's the same thing I said in 2020. People are going to end up, you're going to see Americans killing Americans. I told people that.
Yep.
And it's not because I have some special revelation. It's because, as Cassia said, we know our history. Anyway, go ahead. Go for the song. What's the name of it? What's the song?
So, I didn't like this one as much. This one's at 8.3 for me.
8.745. 8.745.
There
bitches.
you go, ladies and gentlemen.
Shout
Next.
out to Wook Smash. I've never heard of you before. Oh my God.
What?
Adam, I didn't say that QAnon is the
Up next is 7 Years Alone by W. No.
VIN out.
Sorry out.
Gone. Holy shit. Adam, I didn't say QAnon is the truth. I said every claim needs to be weighed against evidence and not just simply dismissed because of where they're from. And I'm encouraging you not to commit the genetic fallacy. All right. We shall. My wife is leaving. We shall return. Vlad, 2 + 2 is 4. I am certain of that. I cannot be wrong. If you say it's 5 or if you say it's 6, you're certainly wrong, and there's no way in which you could be right. I have certainty that 2 + 2 is 4. The Holocaust was a morally reprehensible thing to do. I'm certain of that. And in my epistemology, there is no variation for that. I'm certain that the Holocaust is wrong, and I cannot be wrong about that. And it has nothing to do with me, because truth precedes me and it will outlast me. I'm simply agreeing with an eternally right principle. So, again, there are forms of certainty that make it impossible that have the impossibility to the contrary. Vin is saying, even if Ben Webb is saying the stupidity like Evanescence sucks, he is not generally a bad guy. No, Vlad, no. 2 + 2 is 4, not to the best of my understanding. I have complete understanding that 2 + 2 is 4. There is no mathematical theory that will reveal to us that 2 + 2 is not 4. If you have an epistemology that makes that kind of certainty impossible, then we're operating from a completely different epistemological basis, and that's fine. If you think that at some point in history we will find some way to make 2 + 2 = 5 or something like that, then go for it. I can't get on that train with you, brother. Is there a reality where objectivity changes and 2 + 2 could equal something value added and not always in our objective math system? I don't believe so, because the grounds of logic, I believe, are based in the logos, in God's eternal mind. My students were shocked to hear that there are those who denied the Holocaust even happened. It's one of those things that should be without doubt. It happened and it showed the worst of humanity. Correct. That's why I believe you have to maintain an epistemology that does have room for certainties that are impossible to the contrary. Correct, Cassia. Blame it all on the Falun Gong. Sociopath in training. I really, really, really like that name, bro. I love that name. A lot. That's a badass name, sociopath in training. I don't believe that you are. Or maybe that's a way to talk about, Americans, because all of us are basically becoming sociopaths in training if we follow our media. Holy shit. Boils down to the Trinity again. The ontology is at least interesting. Everything boils down to the Trinity. You're right.
Ready?
You're absolutely right. No, I'm not ready. Huh?
What's a debutante?
Like, you know how Moira was before she became poor?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh. Why?
I don't know. I randomly just heard the word debutante in my head.
Yeah. Vin, have you ever read the book God Was on Vacation? No.
What? Did something happen?
No. Calling it a night later. Much love. Yes, much love to you as well. I have not read that book. Commercial, guys, we shall return.
Jay, hi.
He's leaving.
Bye.
I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft.
What?
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VIN AND SORI. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Okay, this song is...
The next one up is 7 Years Alone by Devil You Know.
So, Devil You Know, 7 Years Alone. And this is brought to you by the big homie...
DJ Mike Franco.
Oh!
What?
The vocalist is Howard Jones, formerly of Killswitch Engage.
Oh,
I did not know that.
Okay.
Also, guys, give us more and more feedback about the audio clipping in and out. And by the way, could you be wrong about everything you claim to know? It's a debate trick, and I generally won't use that in a debate. But at minimum, the presuppositionalists are right, though, Vlad, in that regard. Everybody's a presuppositionalist at some level. Okay, having said that, dear listener, let's go. The Devil You Know, 7 years. What now?
7 Years Alone.
Ooh, loneliness. Good night. Let's do it. Alrighty then.
Oh God. I see a theme forming here.
This is the guy from Killswitch Engage. So I thought initially that he got booted from the band because he was doing drugs or whatever. But I think it was more complicated. He had like diabetes and some shit. Like, so like I think
diabetes. Why would that make you have to stop the band?
I mean, you could die. I mean,
you could.
It's a rugged life on the road. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, to try to get
and the
level
food and
meals,
the eating and leveling yourself out and all that. Like,
yeah, you'd end up spending a lot of money probably just trying to keep your food.
That's a hard lifestyle. So he
yeah.
left. See right there. See, I said he was that, but he left. He actually James Bradford confirmed it. So a lot of us, I think this is also similar with Joey. Rest in peace to the homie, Joey from Slipknot. I thought it was drugs or whatever, but he had and so did the band, but he had like a really unique medical condition that obviously eventually ended up killing him, I think.
Ugh.
Amy, you're good beach, guitar work, you freaking weirdo.
Mama.
Come to mama, she says, as the only practicing Catholic. There are no female priests in the Catholic Church, you weirdo. So yeah, he so I think the song is about how people were basically judging him for for
leaving?
Yeah.
Oh, really? It sounds like he's going to jail. So, okay, when he said 7 years alone, 7 is
18 more to
generally looked at as the number of completion. So I was like, okay, he's completely alone is what he's trying to communicate. But then he said 18 more to go. So I'm like, okay, that's a total of 25 years. So, I feel like I've heard 25 years to life.
Yeah, 25 to life.
I feel like that's like fairly common. And so that was what... he said,
a life sentence for like murder.
There's sin in my heart, but I can't... But I stand accused of crimes that I did not commit.
Right.
Tried and confined, judged by your eyes, but I am an innocent man. Okay, so I thought maybe there was something, but you're saying that this has to do with diabetes?
Well, I think it'd be a pretty hurtful thing to be in this giant kill
switch.
switch.
And everybody's saying you left because of drugs when that wasn't it at all. It's
right.
That you had diabetes.
Right.
Yeah, you know what? When I was pregnant...
Well, not that it wasn't it at all, because he says, I do have sin in my heart. But not what you're talking about, is what I'm saying. So, and that's the biggest thing. Like, when it comes to people's guilt or innocence, people are not, the halo horn thing, to quote a very wise man in the chat.
It's not that simple.
It's not that simple. But the real, honestly, like when you're accusing someone, guilt or innocence definitely is a good standing point to go to. But then the next question is the commensurate punishment, does the punishment fit the crime? And can the crime be overlooked based on extenuating circumstances? That's a much harder way of doing life.
Say it again. What'd you say?
One, okay, so once,
I heard 1, 2 is where...
establishment of guilt or innocent, fine. And the second level is, okay, does the punishment fit the crime? And 3, are there extenuating circumstance that will justify a look the other way type of thing?
Yeah.
Or a suspension of sentence.
Yeah.
But so
yeah, like if you stole something, but it was because somebody was starving, or
right, that would be
you broke in and entered because you were going to freeze. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Right,
yeah.
That's an extenuating circumstance, and I would argue that the perennial example of the kid who steals because he's about to die. He's starving to death. I would argue that the criminal in that situation is not the child, but the society that put the child in that situation.
That's true.
And so
that's true.
The loss of capital then that you got from that stolen bread is the punishment that you deserve. So now we're all square. Now make sure that kid has something to eat, right? But when it comes to like accusing somebody of something, it's a look, he's a rock star. So anytime I see a rock star that dies prematurely or gets kicked out of a band, I automatically think drugs. As soon as Joey died, I said, holy shit, drugs. I imagine a needle in his arm, whatever.
Yeah.
Or some other horrible situation. I never think, it was something outside of their control. And being a middle child, like, I know it's like kind of funny being the black sheep or whatever, but I got blamed for a lot of shit I didn't do. And it was really hurtful as a kid. You know, obviously, as an adult now, I go, okay, I mean, what was it in the grand scheme of things? Was it truly the end of the world? I mean, come on. But, like, as a kid, you're like, damn, like, but then that line, like, I know I have sin in my heart. Yeah, like, I did bad shit, but I didn't do the shit that you said that I did. Like, it's really difficult. And obviously, when you become a parent yourself, you realize how hard it is to navigate that shit. And you need the wisdom of Job. And you gotta stay really, really prayed up, you know, so that you can really engage the situation. But, you know, here's Vlad. Nothing is black and white. That's a black and white statement, Vlad. Nothing is an absolute statement. Yet religious rules rarely provide exemptions. That's where human beings looking at those texts through a modern lens make their own. That's again, when Jesus healed a man on the Sabbath, Jesus didn't say, look, and the Pharisees were mad at him, Vlad. Jesus didn't say, I'm going to modernize this text now. What Jesus actually did was appeal to the Old Testament where he said, the priests continue to work and they're not breaking the Sabbath. So how much more, or when your sheep is in the middle of a well and you fish him out, they're not breaking the Sabbath. So how much more the son of Abraham shouldn't he be made whole on the Sabbath? So much of the Old Testament actually relies on wisdom and doesn't give you specific. Islamic Sharia gives you very specific, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. Whereas the Old Testament was based on case law. One example would be how Solomon solved, and whether or not you think it's a true story or not, how Solomon solved the problem of whose baby does this belong to. And what was celebrated for Solomon was his wisdom in the way that he applied the law. So the Old Testament celebrates a wise person handling the law. It doesn't celebrate this wooden, literal interpretation, one size fits all of the law.
Well, interestingly enough, one of the things that I was reading from Sailhammer today was he's kind of building the case that the Old Testament was not about the law, but that it's a narrative showing because Abraham is praised for his faith.
Correct.
And so the faith of Abraham and the law of Moses are kind of contrasted.
Right.
And so in that situation, it's showing that they were trying to show the whole time that the law was not superior, but actually faith was. And so if that was the message of the Old Testament, then if somebody needed healing on the Sabbath, then you should heal them because it takes faith to be made whole. And so in that case, the law shouldn't trump faith.
Right. Mercy triumphs over judgment.
Yeah.
That's a 2000. So some of this, Vlad, is just, you know, assumptions that are being made, and that doesn't even take into account all the extant literature in the intertestamental period.
Yeah.
I mean, subhanAllah, some of the laws, you want to talk about modern laws? Some of the modern laws we have today are much less merciful and dynamic than the Old Testament. It's not even cool. The laws that we have on debt, I know a lot of people, a lot of students that would much rather prefer an Old Testament law structure for debt than the so this idea that modern people, we know how to be dynamic and apply real world solutions. I just completely unbelievable, reject that notion. But speaking of modern people, I think this is one of the things that shocked me. I saw how judgmental my community was, evangelical Christian community. But there's a lot of judgment in pretty much every circle. I was surprised by that.
All over the place.
I remember the
and
first
at the
time,
most inappropriate times too.
You know, like even silly petty things like, shout out to the underground metal elitist. But one day my phone started blowing up. Everybody's hitting me up. I was like, yo, this guy, I think it was Perk too. He's like, this guy just wrote this thing, a letter of contempt to VIN and SORI. And this was the first time that we got introduced to metal elitism, where you have to know a certain amount of bands to be a true metal fan.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't even be allowed to listen to this kind of metal. And obviously that kind of elitism is the exception and not the rule. Everybody else has been great to us. And we've always said we don't know what the hell we're talking about. We're being introduced to this stuff. And we're still being introduced to it 3 years later. Like, we've never said we're metal experts, but the human impulse to judge another person, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And like, that's a smart line. Was it 17 years, 8 more to go, or 7 years, 18 more to go?
7 years, 18 more to go, I think is what it
Yeah,
was.
that's 25 to life that he got. You know, that basically it's a life sentence. And it's one of those things where if you do something, or even if you're accused of doing something, it stays with you for the rest of your life. For some people, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know, what do you think about that? Like,
Well, I don't agree with that. The thing is, like, I don't agree with, you know, there's one, you know, group of people that I'm talking to, and there's someone that has done many heinous crimes. And that's the thing. If somebody's not repentant and they're not trying to change, then they're going to keep repeating behavior, especially if they're enabled. So in that situation, then no, you should be alone, because you're refusing to change on this stuff that's damaging so many people. But if someone is actually repentant,
that's what Vlad was talking about with lifelong imprisonment for some kinds of people.
Yeah, there's some people like, but again, I don't know if, you know, like you said, like maybe the family stands beside these people, but then, you know, when they get home, they're like, yo, you were wrong for this, you know. But there are consequences for actions, and I think that there has to be, obviously. But I think that there are, you know, there are things that I've done in my life that I said, holy shit, I'm never doing that again. And if I had to be held, like if somebody had to put that in my face for the rest of my life, like, I don't think that's right, because people change. And, you know, like there's phrases like once a cheater, always a cheater, or, you know, like those sorts of things where it's like, once you're one way, you're always going to be that way. I don't know if I believe those statements anymore. Like, I think that people can make mistakes or really horrible things and really be repentant of those things,
well,
and not do
Christians
them
should
again.
never.
I mean, look at Paul or David.
I was
going
to
to
say Christians should never say something like that. That's completely inconsistent with the Christian world.
But they do. People say stuff like that all the time. So my thing is, you know, like if somebody ran people over with their cars, you know, like they were, every time they got behind a wheel, they had the urge to run somebody over. I mean, I'd put them on a bicycle for a while, you know, before I put them behind a motor vehicle. But it would. So, but I don't think that, you know, if somebody's really repentant, that we shouldn't let them have, but I do think that there are certain crimes that, you know.
God almighty.
What?
In Britain, we've just imprisoned a necrophiliac. I'm not even going to finish the rest of that. I mean, you can, he's not coming out alive. Yeah. That's a form of, that's sort of collective social judgment though. And if you look at the lyrics of the song, is a form of imprisonment.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he literally uses the word prison, because that kind of judgment.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. This command effort.
You always want me to do that, and I always like the game
right
of
there,
finding
imprisoned by hate.
Yeah.
Ensnared by my fate. So
yeah.
That's sort of collect. Now I could see the argument both ways. I could see a person saying, yeah, and that functions as a deterrent. When you see how this particular person is excised from the community and judged, and look, they're on a registry and they can't move with, you know, they got to declare themselves, and they go to a neighborhood with X amount of kids and all that. Mm-hmm. And you look at that and you go, that's a deterrent. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, that's probably a deterrent. But the other side of that could be, as we said in the other video, that also might encourage that person to just lose their shit one day and either fall back into that. You know, I had a family member. Or,
you know what? It could make it so that way family members don't want to hold someone accountable when they've done something, because they're like, it's too much for them to bear.
Right. So I have a family member who worked with rehabbing those particular kinds of folks. And, you know, his big study at NYU was about recidivism rates and things like that. And my brother, he's my brother. He was always soft growing up. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He was always trying to find the good in people. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that I was his brother and I was always getting into trouble. And so he was applying that with this group of people. And he was like, how do we know the recidivism rate isn't just the fact that they're just giving up because society is continuously judging them. They can't hold a job. They can't get a job. Nobody wants to give them an apartment, XYZ. Even folks on the street will be gunning for them. And this is New York. Like, if people on the streets are gunning for your life,
we did
if you make it out alive out of prison.
We did this thing where we were around a bunch of homeless people and drug addicts and all kinds of people. And we were just downtown in the heart of the city. And as soon as like one of them would find somebody that was on the registry, they would immediately tell everybody. Of course, those people shouldn't have been in there anyway because we had kids there and they weren't supposed to be around kids.
Well, aside from telling, there's multiple occasions where dudes were about to get jammed up because of it.
Yep.
So, and that's the one group of people where people feel like we can do any and everything to those people.
And that's what I don't agree with. I think that, Yeah,
we were having a conversation in the car on Valentine's Day, no less. And I was like, I've been, thinking about it ever since we had that conversation, but go ahead.
I mean, like, I was talking to this person actually from our channel, and him and I have had, multiple discussions, and, he did something in his past that he really regrets. And he does seem like he made necessary changes. He turned himself in. He went to jail for the time he was supposed to go to jail for. In my opinion, it's not enough time, but, and he's, as far as he's communicating, he's following what he's supposed to be following, and he's maintaining distance, and he's doing the things that he needs to do, and he's really what changed for him was the younger person, I guess, which would be a child. The child didn't necessarily see that there was something wrong. And he was already starting to see that this was a problem. And then the kid was saying, no, that's okay. It's all right. And then that's when he was like, what the fuck? And because he knew that he was wrong. And then that was when he really like started making necessary changes. And he's been seeing, I guess there's people that you can see that can help you and stuff. And that's what he was doing. And but my thing is, like, I don't want to demonize him for the rest of his life if he's really repentant and he really took the steps he needed to. I mean, he turned himself in, he went to jail, and we all know if you go to jail, that can be really, you might not survive that. So, I'm not going to let him babysit my kids or anybody else's, but at the same time, like, I don't know. It just seems pretty convenient that we all have a group of people that we can hate to that degree and we can never forgive them for, and we can hold them to that. And then you talk to so many people, and there's so many people that this happened to. So it's like, okay, so there's a lot of people walking around with hard judgment for stuff that they or their family members did. And I have a problem with that. And I think because we've made such a big, like, you are the worst of the worst, that makes it so that way I think kids are less safe. Because those people can't get help. They can't. What if somebody feels like that? What are they supposed to do? Tell somebody? Who's gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like, people are gonna keep it quiet, and you keep that stuff hidden and quiet, you can't talk about it. Well, what's gonna happen? It's a dangerous, dangerous road. So.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And it's obvious, you obviously have a much more Christian perspective on it. And I think honestly, you're probably right that our collective disdain of those people has probably endangered more children than helped. I don't think it's functioned as a deterrent. I think it's functioned to drive it underground. But yeah, your point is very, very, very well taken. Very well taken. What do you get the song?
You go first on this one.
8.8.
I'm gonna go with an 8.75.
That's a brilliant line, though. 7 years alone, 18 more to go. Mm-hmm. There you are, dear listener. VIN out.
Sorry out.
Gone. Happy shit. We're gonna know the song coming away. Stay where you are. I'm VIN.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at VinAndSORI@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VIN AND SORI. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch, indeed.
And a
Shout out to
child shall lead them.
Stephen Amwar.
Shout out to him.
And you can have a business for as little as $49.
Ridiculous.
Is
Was
that
that
the
playing
lyrics?
the whole time?
I hope not.
Oh boy, they'll probably demonetize our video just for posting their ad.
Would you rather die in space or the ocean? Obviously space. Obviously.
No. Drown me in the ocean. I don't want to be lost in space floating around into some darkness. Nuh-uh.
It wouldn't even be that long, bro.
Nope. What if you're in your thing and you're breathing for a while? And you know that thing that we saw?
You wouldn't want to explore and see what
babe.
you're looking at?
Dying up there alone in like this great expanse, that's really terrifying to me. Remember we saw that thing where it was like they got sucked into the black hole and you could still see them, but they were like sucked away, but their image would be there for a long time?
Yeah.
That was really terrifying.
Black hole sun, won't you come and wash away the rain?
If you were with me,
You
then I'd
bitches
do
didn't
the
know
space.
I could sing, did you, huh?
I'd do space.
I should be in the band.
Otherwise, I'd be scared.
Okay, guys. Speaking of being in the
Dust
band,
of the
that
Bereaved by Tenside.
DJ Mike Franco. It looks like I'm touching that thing, but I'm really not. And that should tell you about something about your reality. If you think that your reality and what you see is exactly what it is, then I'm touching that exclamation point. I'm not. It's all an illusion, dear listener.
This picture as well is not here, really.
Correct. Okay. Now let's do it.
Okay, Dust of the Bereaved by Tenside.
Tenside, dear
I've never
listener.
heard of these people.
Dust of the Bereaved by DJ Mike. Let's go. I like the intro.
Yeah. With it.
Knuckle dragging metal, ladies and gentlemen. Linkin Park feeling to it. Definitely some Linkin Park energy there, for sure, for sure.
I enjoyed it.
What do you got?
I actually didn't pay attention to the lyrics till like the last 20 seconds. I was like, yo, I gotta focus on the lyrics too. But
Why?
Because I enjoyed the feel of the song. I like that energy and that voice, that type of voice. That was like maybe like a Linkin Park type of.
This is my favorite course tonight, especially the last part.
And actually, look, the reason I look, okay, I'm lying. The reason I looked at the lyrics was because what little bit of lyrics I caught from listening sounded like a relationship song. So then I was like, yo, I should read the lyrics.
Ridiculous.
Survive until the last breath separates us. Alive, we stand together to rise above. See, that's when I was like,
Beyond remedy, I'm trapped in this society. I cannot breathe. Another tragedy. It could have worked so easily, but everything can change, like finding comfort in the grave.
Yikes.
Here comes a fix for the bleeding to keep your souls breathing. If you're capsized through the midst of years receding, born from nothing, crawl from zero to none, only evil reigns under the sun. And then the chorus says, survive until the last breath separates us. Alive, we stand together to rise above. Arise, those blessings we never received, ashes in the furnace, dust of the bereaved. Just really tight writing. Mm-hmm. In that chorus. And, you know, it's kind of like almost a good corollary to the previous song where the guy his complaint is that he's locked in prison, people are judging him, yada, yada, yada. And he's basically got a life sentence. But then this song is basically calling out to people because it says, if you look above, it says, here comes the fix for the bleeding. Mm-hmm. So they're self-consciously saying, take the lyrics of this song to help in your healing process. Mm-hmm. You have to survive, stay alive, and then arise, which is actually a really interesting progression if you think about it. Survive is don't kill yourself, right?
Yeah.
And then be alive is live. And there's a difference between surviving a situation and being alive. Being alive. And then you arise, which is to rise above that shit. You know what I'm saying? And so there's a progression there. And that's
good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good progression. It's a positive song.
Yeah.
It's a positive song because
go ahead.
No, go.
There's a song, I'm probably pronouncing her name wrong, but Sia, S-I-A, I believe is how it's spelled. And she's saying like, it's a Survivor type of song. And then she says, when she's singing the part, like I'm alive, and she's like really getting to that part, and there's like this interesting dancer and stuff. It's really cool, in my opinion. But when that happens, like, I loved that part of the song because I was like, that's true, you know, like being alive, like after, because sometimes like when you're in survival mode, like if you go from survival mode to I'm alive, like that's a huge step.
Agreed.
And I was thinking like, okay, that's the last step. Like you're at, like I'm alive, but it's true. Like you said,
arise. You gotta
rise
above.
Rise above it. Yeah. That's really good. I like that.
Which, you know, that's always been one of my, I think Romans 8 is probably the greatest chapter in all of literature. You know, where Paul says, who shall separate us from the love of Christ, or trouble or hardship or nakedness or famine, or dangerous sword. And then he says, no, but in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. So it's like being more than a conqueror, which I heard a preacher one time basically say that, what does it mean to be more than a conqueror is that the very thing that was meant to destroy you ends up being your biggest servant. Yep. You know, so like growing up in a family with a bunch of mental illness, or growing up in a family that, you know, not having a dad, all that shit. God has used that to make me an involved parent, make me empathetic to people with mental illness, which I'm happy, you know, and it's gotten to the point where I'm like, damn, I wouldn't have changed a thing, because then I would be, you know, people say that like, oh, you know, I wouldn't have changed a thing, but like I really wouldn't have. The people that I've been able to interact with and the things that I don't believe that I would be this kind of a driven individual if I would have grown up with my dad. I'm so driven by a few things. Being in the boys' life, you know, the kids in general, but particularly the boys. Like, you know, when we had Dorian, you know what I'm saying? Running multiple businesses and things of that nature, and just grinding the way that we grind. Like, I don't believe I'd be on my grind to this degree if I grew up with my dad. And so, like, I literally wouldn't change it, because the kind of life that we have now
depends on it.
I don't believe I'd be living this kind of lifestyle right now if I so, like, that's where you're more than a conqueror, where the shit that was meant to destroy you ends up serving you, and ends up enriching your life, and ends up not just your life, because life isn't just about you. Like, that's, people have to understand that when we're talking about suffering. Like, life is not just about you. Sometimes you suffer on behalf of other people. Like, these people obviously have.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, they wouldn't be able to sing this song with all this passion if they didn't go through some shit. And a lot of times, like, when it comes to the problem of evil, whether you're Christian or not, whatever, people always go, why is this happening to me? I'm a good person, yada, yada, yada. Well, it may have happened to you because you're a good person. And what good people do with suffering is vastly different from what evil people do with suffering. Evil people internalize suffering and allow it to make them bitter, horrible people that then goes so they can justify being horrible to other people. When good people suffer, you know, Jesus says a good man out of the good wellsprings of his heart brings forth fruit. Well, what's the point of fruit? It's to nourish other people. And so you can either be a bitter person that poisons people, or you can be a person that your suffering creates fruit that nourishes people.
Yep.
And these guys, at least in this particular song, the bullshit that they've gone through, they're self-consciously saying, we're going to help people with our music. And I think, so from that vantage point, it was good that they suffered, whatever they suffered. Well, it was good, because it's inspiring people and keeping people alive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
I think that when you can come to that point too, when you could say, okay, my suffering is going to, like, there's some people where especially when they're in the bitterness of their soul, if you say to them, you're going to be able to help people with this, they're basically like, fuck everybody else. I don't care. I'm suffering. You know, and I think that you can kind of hit that point, but as long as you can kind of come out of it and be like, all right, well, let there be some meaning to this, because if it's just pointless suffering, then why? And the questions are endless, and you can get drowning in this ocean of just pointlessness. It's just overwhelming. But if your suffering brings about the saving or the helping of somebody else, then now there's some meaning to it. It's some worth. Yeah,
it's worth it.
And the more that you love those moments and those conversations where you're able to help somebody through your suffering, the more those conversations will present themselves to you, and more joy can be had.
But the worst irony of people who don't convert their suffering into fruit is that they waste it.
Yep.
You know, like, there's no telos for why there's no telos for why you went through what you went through. When you take your suffering, and again, if you want to divorce God from it, I think it's foolish to do so. But let's say you did. You could still find utility even from an atheist or agnostic framework for saying, I'm going to turn my suffering to something good, and thereby I can apply some positive meaning to it.
Yep.
Instead of just saying, I'm a victim of the universe, or, you know, blind, pitiless indifference, or like Bertrand Russell said, that the only scaffold of which you can have to hang your hope is unyielding despair.
Oh my God.
I mean, literally said that. Read it yourself. The poor man's worship, I think the free man's worship, I think is what he called it. And I think, like, that kind of suffering, that kind of an understanding of suffering, wastes suffering.
Oh, absolutely.
And it is in itself a unique kind of suffering. Unredeemable suffering is in itself a unique kind of suffering that's separate from the suffering initially in the first place. And so you gotta find some way to have some way of redeeming the suffering that you went through, so that you can find some sort of reasonableness for why what happened to you happened to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just gonna pull up the lyrics here.
But like they did a really, really, really good job. And it's like survive until the last breath separates us, which is really, really good because it's basically saying, don't kill yourself, man. Just keep pushing. Mm-hmm. Which is something that, look, man, people been through some shit.
Yeah.
We talked earlier about, have there been people that have never experienced trauma? And I'm like, well, of course there's people that never experienced trauma, but a lot of us have, especially in our metal community. And very rarely do you hear bands challenging you to push through
That's true. I literally know somebody who didn't go through any tragedy.
What do you mean? Who? Yeah.
I mean, literally, I don't think there's been a single thing.
Yeah, it's just been pretty pedestrian.
Yeah.
Shout out to the homie.
Yeah, that's true.
But there's a lot of people who have, especially in our community. Mm-hmm. And so having to go through that, I would just encourage you guys, find a way to do good for people. Because one of the tricks, one of the dirty secrets that people never want to talk about with people who've been through some shit is it can turn you into a really selfish person.
Yep. That's true.
But I feel like I'm okay to say that because I've got I've got the battle scars to prove it. Mm-hmm. But you become a really insulated, self-focused person. You become extremely selfish, and you get an extreme sense of entitlement, and you justify your bitterness to everybody. Oh, this happened to me, that happened to me, I got an unfair shake, this happened to me, blah, 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 blah. Nobody loves me, yada, 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 yada. Everybody betrayed me, everybody turned their backs on me, everybody's judging me, yada, 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 yada. And you become a really selfish person, man. And so you gotta not fall into that trap. I remember a very specific time I was in the psych ward. They were talking all this shit about my parents, and they weren't shit talking. I mean, all the shit they said about my parents was true. And then some, because I didn't tell them everything. And they were just going on and on and on about how I was a superhero because I didn't do drugs and I didn't do this and my parents are horrible. And then God just stood like closer than Sori is now and said, do not listen to them. He said, don't listen to them. I'm going to deal with your mom. I'm going to deal with your dad. You got your own shit. Deal with your own shit, little bro. And that was a turning point for me. That was a turning point for me, man. That's when and I really started to get better. And I'm not saying that the meds didn't help or whatever. Like, I'm very grateful to the hospital for the role they played, but they were about to unwittingly, because they were trying to be compassionate, they were about to tumble me down this black hole of self-pity.
Oh my gosh.
And I bless the Most High because he showed up and he said, do not listen to them. And so I commend that to you, man. Like,
I don't know. You probably wouldn't still be here.
No, I would not. I would not still be here. Self-pity is a murderer. It'll kill you. Mm-hmm. It'll really, really kill you. So however you do it, you got to find what, they say, turn your pain into champagne. Help some people get drunk, basically, is the moral of the story. But these guys did a really, really good job. They turned their pain into champagne. Yeah,
I really, really like this song. And like I said, I like the vocal style and the cadence of the song as well. So this one's a pretty high one for me. It's actually a 9.5.
Yeah, actually, this has been my favorite chorus of the night. So I'm going to give it a 9.27.
Dust of the Bereaved by Tenside, y'all.
Yes.
That's what it was.
As DJ AT says, I am always grateful in place of despairing, but you got to recognize that a hill is nothing without the valley. That's because Ellen is a dualist. There's a lot of wisdom there, dear listener, if you can accept it. Having said that, dear listener, we got one more song for you. It's coming.
Lamb to the Slaughter by VICERA.
VICERA. Lamb to the Slaughter by VICERA. Having
coming
said
up
that,
next.
VIN out.
Sori out.
Gone.
Look at Dwayne.
Yada, yada, yada,
He's
yada,
never
yada.
gonna let that one go. I gave his precious Beatles a 3.5.
They should have. I can't believe
Many apologies.
The walrus one.
Yep.
I've been through enough trauma for a small army. I may get lost in my own thoughts sometimes, but I'm proud that I'm not bitter. Amen. Cassie is one of the softest, kindest hearted people. I'm always fascinated by people, especially women that can go through shit and not be like raw.
Agreed.
But she's actually one of the the most balanced people, especially in Middle America. She's a mod. People always do dumb shit. Cassie be like, listen, motherfucker. But she'll be nice. But she won't say that. She'll say to the chat, this motherfucker. But she'll go out in public. She'll be like, listen, I'm going to give you a warning. You can tell she's a mom.
Warning.
She's like, I'm going to give you another warning, bitch.
One.
Another warning. All right, you're out. She's out of there.
You're out of here. All right, you guys. Another one coming up.
All right, guys, here we go. We are going actually directly to it. We're going to spare you. We're going to spare you the commercial. Go right to it. This is Dust of the Bereaved by VICERA.
What's the timestamp?
Timestamp is
2:46.
2:46:22. Ready?
Yep.
And let's go. That's not. Oh, we just did that song.
Yeah.
I love the song so much that we had it on repeat. But no.
Yeah, you were wrong.
No, dear listener. Here it is. It didn't download, you liar.
Seriously?
It didn't download. I think it downloaded now, inshallah. Talk to the people.
Ridiculous. You should
All
have
right,
just started
guys.
the commercial.
Here's the official video. If
Wait, we did this one?
I don't know.
Oh, because he was talking about the song you just started. True. We're back on schedule, Mike.
Where are the mods? Vin is cursing. Now they're trolling us. It's called Karma.
Karma. All right, you guys.
All right, here we go, guys. VICERA, Lamb to the Slaughter. Let's do it.
Wow.
That's a singer from Sylosis. The band that we did 2 songs of, that's a singer. He's got another band.
Cool.
An endless
good.
cycle of perpetual decay. The waking nightmare that will never cease to end, forever spiraling into your darkest days. Let's drink to misery. Your never-ending thirst.
Oh my gosh.
I think this is about his alcoholic father, I think.
Oh no.
Betrayal won't be forgiven. This is a hell we live in. Disintegration of love and nurture. A flagrant violation. Ashamed. This heart is rusting, a hateful creature. Thrown into chaos. Betrayed. We abandon the light, paralyzed by the horror. Now the blind lead the blind like lamb to the slaughter. You didn't know I could do death vocals, did you?
I had no idea. One taste of power and you'll savor the game. And you'll deny your heart to justify the pain. Wow. A hatred so misplaced, a mask to hide your face. I'll cry for you no more behind the iron doors. Red soil, betrayal won't be forgiven. Red soil, this is hell we live in. Sin of the Father, gift to the Son. One day you'll return, I will wait. We abandon the light, paralyzed by the horror. Now the blind lead the blind like the lamb to the slaughter. We abandon the light. So you think this is about his dad?
Well, it says sins of the father.
Yeah.
Gift to the son. Holy shit, we got Tony. Tony can also Tony's
That's
rapping.
Right.
Tony's rapping. Night's a good night for a suicide, but I'm a coward, so I just deal with the pain. Wait out the pouring rain till I'm dry again. These thoughts might be a sin, but I'm still here, so for me it's a win. Bars.
Yes, and stay with us.
And stay. Back to our regularly scheduled program. Already in process.
Wow.
Yeah, so this guy, his dad, it looks like, man.
Forever spiraling into your darkest days, yeah.
Yeah, hatred so much.
Yeah, disintegration of love and nurture.
Face. Yeah, I think it's about his dad. I think it's about his dad, for sure. And the only reason I took alcohol was because let's drink to misery your never-ending thirst. I think he's kind of doing a double entendre about that. Which, it's interesting to import the Sylosis lyrics about losing faith and things like that, and, sins of the flesh, and then it transitioned again to sins of the father, things like that. Like, it's still got some Christian imagery. Like, you'd have to be... Yeah. You'd have to have some experience in Christian imagery.
Well,
to
lamb to the slaughter, too. Did you say that?
Yeah, lamb to the slaughter, which not necessarily a Christian term, but,
The phrase itself?
Yeah, it's not necessarily a Christian term.
Okay. I mean, it's hard for me, I guess.
Yeah,
you're probably
I know
right.
Isaiah 53.
It's so like, yeah.
Yeah. So
Isaiah 53, it's a prophecy. You guys should check it out. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, like a lamb to the slaughter.
It's
and like a
so
sheep.
unbelievably accurate that it happened so long before Jesus came along that it's pretty wild.
Like a lamb to the slaughter and like a sheep before its shearers was silent, so he opened not his mouth. By appearance, oppression and judgment, he was taken away. Yeah, so lamb to the slaughter is mention of Christ. Disintegration. Yeah, man, there's really nothing like a father wound, man. It's a really terrible wound, and I don't really know if you actually ever really truly recover from it.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
And
is that like a scary place? Like, I mean, you're a there, so
not at all, because I was just about to say kids are actually really.
Vin's confidence is always on 10.
Huh?
I said Vin's confidence is always on 10.
Well, I just know that kids are really, really forgiving, and that kids know that if you.
Yeah, they know you're in their corner.
They know when you're but the kids know when you're putting out, and obviously, I'm always going to be contrasted with.
Yeah.
So and so, I could.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got pretty low standards. You know what I'm saying? So I benefit very greatly. I benefit very greatly from their low standards. But you remember that time Dorian said, having a father with this caliber of wisdom. or whatever he said. I was talking to him yesterday. I said, hey, in Florida, you know what we should do? We should join a tennis club. You know what he said?
What?
He said, splendid.
Splendid. Look, he got this for me. He had this picture printed of me and him. Whoops.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Aw.
yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
It's a... So I
None
put it
for
on my
me.
computer.
None for me, though, that evil bitch. But he's like, splendid. Uh-oh, goofy audio. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. It's because you... Yeah, but, like... I don't worry about it very much because, you know, I'm doing my best. And I think most kids are like that. If your dad is doing his best, most kids are going to be pretty forgiving. They're going to be understanding.
Yeah. Especially once they become parents of their own. And then they're going to be like, wait,
Right.
Wow, Dad had 4-hour conversations with us constantly about the stuff we...
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not always convenient.
It's really funny, too, because, you know, relationships go in seasons. Like, you know, I took Johan to get his tooth pulled. Mm-hmm. And we've been kind of jamming
I saw him with
ever
his
since.
arm around you.
Yeah, we were watching the movie Knives Out or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been cool, but you know, that was like one of the things that really pushed me to fix my freaking sleep cycle, man, because I'd be up at night and I'd be like, start thinking about the kids and I'm like, oh man, what if I died? You know what I'm saying? And I'd start like freaking out and losing, you know, I'd be losing. It was very, very, and then it would like make it damn near impossible to go to sleep. Oh, you know what I'm saying? So it was just,
I don't let myself even...
always imagining them getting some horrible phone calls and shit like that. Because, you know, at the time when I was involved in doing shit that... I don't know. Because the very, very last trip I went on, like... I don't know, there's probably some... It's probably some... I don't know. But... Like, holy shit, man. Like, what if I want to come home? And it was just horrible because... You were like, are you sure you want to do this? You want to go? We were left. You were saying that shit like when we left the embassy. You were like,
That's such
I
a
just
bad
have
feeling
a bad
about
feeling
it.
about this. And I'm like, and then like the night before I was supposed to fly out, that was the only time they'd ever, don't leave. That's the only time they'd ever, so I think like that still like fucks with me because of, you know, how shit went down for the last time I was out there. But so yeah. So now, like, it's crazy. Like, I get to work from home, and they do homeschool and home businesses, and everything is all straight. But, the chance that I could have not been there for them is a pretty crazy situation.
Yeah.
So from that vantage point, I'm like, okay, I don't think I'm ever gonna deal with like the whole situation, like in this life. But at least like I gotta be able to get some sleep because I can't just sit here all night and obsess about that shit. And it's like it was so weird too. It's like you're here, like I'm here, like I'm years removed from the situation. Like I'm good. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you must have been traumatized a little bit from it. That otherwise it doesn't make any sense. I never think. Well, once in a while I'll think, oh, if the kids. You know, but mine's never like something traumatic like that. It's like, what if I get cancer and then I have to leave the kids and blah, blah, blah. That would be so horrible. But mostly my panic is if something happened to them.
Yeah.
And then Selah looks at me. She's like, can you imagine if one of us kids died before you guys? I was like, why would you say that to me? I don't want to think about that at all.
It's horrible.
I'm a terrible child.
Horrible. But, you know, in this situation... I don't know. I think the kid is still leaving the doorway out for his dad to come back, though. Because doesn't he say, like, you'll come home or something like that?
He did, but one day you'll return. I will wait.
Yeah. Like, red soil betrayal won't be forgiven. But then he says, one day you'll return. I'll wait.
Yeah. And I think that's basically what it looks like when I've seen kids that have been in bad situations with their parents. That's how it is. They're like, there's a part of them that's like, you know, F you. And then there's a part of them that's like, mommy, daddy, please come back. Yeah. Like that childlikeness that even as old as they get, like it doesn't matter. I saw it with, you know, when I was in college and people were talking about it, they would look like kids when they were talking about it. It's just the saddest thing, man.
Yeah.
And one of my friends, she was just like that. Like, she just wanted to have her parent back. She spent like literally years trying to get in contact with her parents. It was hard because
was it an adopted situation?
Yeah,
Birth mother
it was.
situation?
It was. Well, she finally, she grew up. She finally got. I think at a certain point you can access your own paperwork, even if it was closed. And so she accessed it, and then I don't know, I guess she ended up getting in contact with her mother, but it turns out her mother was an addict, and so her mother was like super happy to see her, but her mother was only looking at her as a resource. And so her mother moved in with her. She was so thrilled. She was going to get to spend some time with her mom. And then her mom was just using her and taking her money and destroying her life. And so she had to send her mother away, which was super painful. I was like, wow, man. Like, jeez.
You're going to have to reestablish Amy. I didn't take your wrench, Amy.
Well, you told us to take your wrench.
She tells us every other day. She doesn't really mean it.
Oh, she does?
Yeah, we could find her and remod her.
Remod Spank. Okay.
What?
That's what she changed her name to, Spank.
Subhanallah.
Okay, add moderator. Spank.
But that is that's a crazy line. In the midst of all of that craziness.
This is how they turn you into a Christian. I'm sorry.
In all the midst of that craziness and all that, he's like still leaving it open for his dad to return. Mm-hmm. And look, man, that kind of hope and disappointment maybe is still better than unforgiveness to your parents. Mm-hmm. It is. And, I know that for a fact because, some of you guys could put the dots together. My kids are going through that and will probably go through that for the rest of their lives. But it's still better to have hope and be disappointed by your parent than just completely have unforgiveness to your parent. Like, because that's just never going to go away.
Because of what it does to you.
Yeah, and the older you get, the more like your parent you're going to look, statistically speaking.
Yep. That's true.
So it's
that's true, yeah.
Me, I'm like, I don't sit there and my strategy for like unforgiveness is to not invest so much in people emotionally once you see the shit going left. Once I really start to see it go left, before that 90-degree angle happens, I'm out. And then I mean, you're just out of my mind. But that's one of the things that God's showing me. Like, I don't necessarily believe it's a bad strategy, but it's a horrible universal strategy. And it's bad if it's the only strategy you have, because there's some people you can't do that with. Orion's really been pissing me off. What am I going to do? Oh, fuck you, boy. You know what I'm saying? Get out of here, nigga. You got to go. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's some people you can't do that with. So you still got to practice. They call it therapeutic forgiveness or whatever. But I will always say that hope is a better emotion, even hope disappointed, than unforgiveness is, especially to a parent. Because that's just never going to go away. And a lot of it is like when we had this conversation, actually, last week, about integrating your inner child with your adult self. And yeah, I know it sounds like a bunch of woo-woo, but I believe it's real. I believe there's a part of your consciousness that's really underdeveloped, especially if you have wounds from your childhood that obviously you didn't have the sophistication to articulate. That part of your consciousness remains in that state, not necessarily an exact age like 5 or 6, but it's in that stage of childlikeness. And until you can face that child and then give that child the understanding on both sides, you can reintegrate yourself, to speak from a Jungian perspective, become a whole person.
Right, which is why it's so horrible to have really negative self-talk. Because you're essentially putting that child part of yourself through more trauma. Not a good play. They don't need that from you.
For sure.
Did you okay, so I loved how heavy it was. I liked, the vocal stuff. I liked all of it, but to me it was like there was nothing unique about it. It seemed like I felt like I've heard this before.
Yeah, I mean, it's heavy shit, low end. Yeah.
But I still
it was
liked
very
it.
similar. The lyrics to me were the most unique thing about it, just the way that they went about with it.
Agreed.
I'm going to say the previous song was my favorite song of the night. What do you give this one?
8.6.
I give this one a solid 8.5.
Shoot, I almost went with an 8.5.
Not too late. It's too late.
But I beat you out, so yes.
Shout out to DJ Mike. Holy smoky, mokey.
Thank you for the night, for the DJ stream that we all got to enjoy.
You know the big thing. We didn't even give 70s night any DJ air horns. We're like, oh, that's great. See you later. The biggest thing about tonight is that we really got a good, decent helping of Sylosis. We basically heard 2.5 Sylosis songs.
Right.
And they were really, really good. And they kind of have a signature style. They really, really do.
I agree.
So, shout out to DJ Mike for that. We have another DJ stream coming for you bitches tomorrow, don't we?
Well, tomorrow we can DJ stream it or we can not. We can do whatever we want. It's these. And I'm not budging, babe. Please don't make me budge on that. These people.
Oh, that guy's birthday was next month.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was tomorrow.
We do have a birthday in 2 days, though. It's Neil's birthday in 2 days, you bitches.
Gang.
Yep. So we'll be coming for our birthday stream. Actually, Neil, email me and tell me what's the earliest Eastern Standard Time you could start at.
And this is, what's the turtle's name again? Do you remember?
Lucky.
Shout out to Lucky the Turtle. We'll see him again at the resurrection of the just, inshallah. All right, dear listener. We, on the other hand, have to get out of here. Neil Murray, I'm so freaking happy you were born, bro. I cannot wait for your birthday. That's going to be so fun. Okay. Having said that, dear listener,